Welcome to another episode of Correct Me If I'm Wrong. My name is Marcus, and I do not have my co-host right now, Candor Yelier. Hopefully, she can jump on at some point in time. But I got a few new guests, a few returning guests. I want to go ahead and introduce everybody. I got my man Jesse Jones. How you doing, my man?
Doing good. How's everything, sir?
Everything is great, man. Glad to have you back. Glad to have you back. Let's see, Poke is gone right now. We got a first time guest and my man Drew. Drew, what's going on, man?
Going on? What's going on, Marcus? Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, man, I talked to you, what was it, man? Last summer, something like that, when I was like, man, I really want to have you on. We finally made it happen, and I feel like this is a good topic to have you on. So I appreciate you for joining the show for the first time. We'll go
Oh,
back up top. I got my man. Everybody is everybody, everyone, everybody.
Everybody hates Pope.
I got my man. Everybody hates Poke. We're looking for some more of that content, man, for sure. You actually had the first podcast that I was actually on before I started doing all of this. You know what I mean? You gave me my first invite, so it's definitely appreciated. But Poke, shit, man, I done lost count. You'd have probably been on what 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows already. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to have you on. I get inboxes and people I just be seeing in the streets, and they speak highly of you. And the things that you have to say. Uh, and last but not least, until some other people hop on, I got my man Fifi. Shout out to Talk Shop. What's going on, my man?
What's happening with you, bro? How you been?
I'm good, man. You're also another person that I've been trying to get on for a minute.
Yeah,
Me
man.
and you, we've
Long
had.
overdue, bro.
Yeah,
Long
for sure,
overdue,
for
man.
sure. Fee, you've given me some good insight on some things. You know what I mean. I'm sure there's some other things that you could help me out with, as far as getting my podcast over the hump. You know
Phone
what I
call
mean,
away, bro. You know how we get
man.
down.
Yeah, for sure. Fee, I go back with Fee. What shit, man? Fourth, fifth grade, something like that.
Yeah, man. Fourth grade, man.
Yeah,
Y'all used to be on us, but it's all right though. We got y'all back,
get
so
on the
we ain't gonna
quips.
talk about that right now, though. You know what I mean? We ain't talk about that right now. Chill, Pope.
Just this motherfucker. And then last but not least, we got her back on. I got
I,
Miss Tweety. What's going on, Miss Tweety?
my phone just shut off. It flashed and says content offensive and shut me down.
What?
That's why I was gone.
I have never seen that before.
Big brother always watching, man.
But I ain't even hear nothing ever said,
That's a
It
fact.
wouldn't
crazy
say
for real.
anything. It just shut down and flashed across my screen.
Yeah, that's the first time for me, man. Like I said, I ain't heard anything that was inappropriate or offensive or anything like that. But
Is my phone tapped?
right, Jesse, you never had any issues or nothing like that with
Never.
No, not
well,
like not
Jesse. I
not
know.
with just flash offensive and shut off. Nah.
Okay, and Jesse, I know your content is a tad bit different from
Oh, wait.
We're not as non-offensive as you would think.
that's true.
I promise
Okay,
you.
you are right. For some of the episodes I've listened to of yours, you are correct. But I just want to go ahead and get into it. But first, before I do get into it, I just want to ask: did everybody cast their vote today?
I don't vote.
Nah,
Okay.
I ain't go.
Hell no.
Yeah,
I guess I might be the only one that did. Then.
Drew, I figured you might be.
No, I
I
voted
mean,
too.
Oh, you
I
voted,
would
Jesse? Okay.
have.
No,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
put
Because
my vote in
I
too.
know John Fetterman,
Yeah,
so you know what I'm saying. It's not like I be voting out of ignorance. Like that's my boy. Like
Yeah, I
Olivia
was going.
Benson voted, like ran. I would have voted for her. Like, I know her. You know what I'm saying?
I was
Outside
going.
of that, though,
I was going to troll on Facebook and let everybody know I voted all Republican, just to see what
at least we know what we get
see
with
what
them,
kind of
dog.
feedback we get.
We
Stir the
know what we
pot.
get with them. You never
Yeah,
know with the Dems,
that's
bro.
a fact
Never.
too. That's a fact.
yeah. But yeah, I just had to ask that. But let's go ahead and get right into it, y'all. As y'all can see at the bottom of the screen, I've got the topic. We want to talk about what's been going on with Kanye and Kyrie Irving. Do you side with Kanye and Kyrie? The reason that I'm doing this a little bit later is because I like for things to kind of play out. You know what I mean? Before I just hop on it and start talking about things. And I feel, from my opinion, it's a little better that way because so many different things develop, over the days, over the weeks, and, it just gives you kind of more content to talk about. But let's start off with Kanye, y'all. Kanye West, Ye, whatever we want to call him, has been dropped by a lot of sponsors and what have you. What they say he lost? How much money did he lose? $1 billion in a few days?
Half a billion.
Half
I
a
thought it was
bill.
2 between the two.
No, I heard it was
Chase Bank
It was
and
a half a
Adidas.
billion.
All right. Well, let's just say it like this: he lost more money than probably the majority of us, or yet all of us may ever make.
Yeah,
right.
But
we can leave it at that.
right. So let's go ahead and get into it now. Did you guys watch the Drink Champs interview with Kanye? Anybody watch it in full? You watched it in full?
I think that.
Okay. All right,
No, not in full.
Now again, it was some discussion had before we went ahead and started recording. But my question has always been, I didn't hear anything anti-Semitic that Kanye said. Even going, I didn't watch the full thing, but I went and watched some of the clips of it, and I think the important parts of what he was saying, and I didn't hear anything that was hateful or any kind of prejudice, because that is the definition of anti-Semitic, correct? Or correct me if I'm wrong. What is the definition of being anti-Semitic or anti-Semite? If anybody wants to go ahead and answer that. Go ahead, Paul.
Legitimately, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to look it up right now.
Okay.
Well, essentially, it's something whenever you use stereotypes against Jews, like they're tight with money, they're let me think, like they're true businessmen. So in that sense, Kanye did. He pretty much everything he said was anti-Semitic.
Everything he said.
Yeah, pretty much about the Jews.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm getting an echo, so it's
Based upon the little definition of it, yeah.
Hold on, Drew. Are you on speakerphone?
I am using a headset.
Okay, yeah, headsets usually work a little bit better. I don't know. I know when they say people have on speakerphone or something like that, you get an echo. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, Jesse. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, based upon the literal definition of anti-Semitic, yes, everything he said was anti-Semitic. Based upon how, in context, how it's supposed to be viewed, no. But the literal definition of anti-Semitic is prejudice or hostile towards Jews. And so if you take his tone, not so much his words, if you take his tone into context and consideration, I could see how people may think he was hostile, but legit, as far the things I know about Kanye, and I'm not a huge hip hop head, but what I know about how he talks, he's always kind of talks, and so based upon the little definition, they could call it that, but he didn't say anything that was degrading or disrespectful per se to the Jews, not that I heard anyway.
All right, Pope, you want to piggyback off that?
So first of all, he did say something that was actually, we should all agree, was anti-Semitic. And I don't know why this keeps going over our heads, but if it was said about us, we would be pissed off.
For example?
Number one, he said, let me finish.
Go ahead, Pope. Go ahead, Pope.
He did say, I'm about to go DEFCON on the Jews.
Which means what?
Well, it means that he's putting them all in the same basket. If a white man, if Donald Trump said, I'm about to go DEFCON on the blacks, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about what does that mean. We'd be like, that's racist as hell. You can't say I'm about to go DEFCON on all the Jews. What? That's crazy. And that was a really dumb comment. And that is anti-Semitic. But secondly, when he spoke about them, he put them all in the same basket. he said the Jews over and over and over and over and over. He never even took a second to say, you know what, some of these Jews or most of these Jews or the Jews are in power. He literally said the Jews. So those are the mistakes that he made. I mean, listen, if it was the other way around, and Donald Trump was talking about us, and he said the blacks are poor, or the blacks are lazy, or the blacks don't do this, or the blacks don't do that, we would be pissed off, man. And we wouldn't be sitting here talking about what he wasn't talking about all of us.
All right, you mean saying it outright, saying it, or saying it without saying it? Because he said it without saying it 1,000 times.
Well, but he literally said it 1,000 times too. He literally said the Jews, and that's a big time mistake because there are good God-fearing Jews out there that don't do those things that he was talking about. We do all understand that the power structure, the elite, and most of them may do that, but there are some good Jews out there that don't do that. So you can't put everybody in the same basket. That was a mistake. Whenever you're talking about anything racial, you got to be on point because they could take anything that you say and say, boom, I got you right there. So he wasn't on point, and he should have never said, I'm about to go DEFCON on the Jews. That was real stupid.
So saying I'm about to go DEFCON 3, I am from the definition that I've seen, that is preparing for.
That's just what I was going to say.
For what? To protect yourself? Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong. Listen, Marcus, listen to me.
It's a level of defense.
Hold on. No definition matters. Let's think about it like this. If a white person said, I'm about to go DEFCON on the black people, first of all, we're not going to look up no definition of DEFCON. Because the bottom line is you shouldn't be putting up a defense against all black people. There's no reason to go DEFCON against all people. That was the mistake. That was a mistake. Wait a minute. Are you really saying that we can't agree that was a mistake?
I agree because you categorized everybody.
Exactly.
When you're putting everybody in the same box, I will say.
I wouldn't call it a mistake though, because I think Kanye did it on purpose. And I think.
Hold on, we got another guy another guy just came in. My man Niggas Trent, what's going on, man?
Chill with you, bro. How you doing, man?
You still down in Mississippi?
Yeah, still down here.
All right. Now I know that you've had a whole lot to say on social media when it comes to to this topic, and I think your view may be a little different than some of the people's on the panel. But I saw you shaking your head, when we were talking about, the DEFCON and, was it a mistake? Drew, you also said you didn't believe it was a mistake. But I want to go with you, my man, Niggas Trent. How you feel?
I think that words are powerful and they have meaning. Context is just as important as the words that you speak. And so if a person says something, right, and you're confused on what their context is as to why they said what they said or what they're trying to get across, and they explain it to you, and you just completely refute it and put your own thing on it, you undermine your own point because you're not trying to get an understanding of what the person is saying. What you're trying to do is just emotionally validate however you feel about whatever the person said. So that's how I feel about the DEFCON thing. And then what was the second thing we was just talking about? He said something, man. He said, he said it's bad to speak in generalities when applying it to race, right? That's what he said. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think if you're speaking on things that are credible and the majority of the people of a certain group are the ones that are doing something that needs to be called out, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a problem when they say, black people have a problem with black on black violence. We'll say that in the drop of a dime. We were just saying it all last week when Takeoff got killed. You get what I'm saying? Black people don't sit together. We throw out all type of generalizations and apply it to ourselves. But when
I don't agree with that.
When it comes down, regardless if you agree with it or not, it's a fact. So when it comes down to us applying it to another group that has systematically disenfranchised us for decades, now all of a sudden it's a problem. I don't understand how people want the celebrities to speak up. and speak on the things that celebrities have been speaking on for years, for decades, on why they can't help progress the black people. As soon as they do, half of the black people speak against those people and act like everything they're saying are wrong. Now all of a sudden they care more about the people that profits and puts in immense amount of effort into oppressing us more than they care about the people who, you know what I'm saying, are trying to progress us that are of our group. Now the transgressions or the things they might have said that was wrong, or could have been coonish, as we could say. You get what I'm saying? Now those things are worse than the things that those people have been doing for decades. I just don't understand people's perspective when it comes to that. You get what I'm saying? I feel like it should be prioritized. But I'm gonna let him go ahead and speak. I want to hear his rebuttal to it.
I want to hear what Drew was saying, and then I'm gonna come to you, Pope.
Hey, but as long as you come back, you really got my thought out. You know what I mean? But
no, we'll come straight.
I'm gonna just try to keep it short because I'm getting a bad echo. But no, all respect, brother. I just don't agree with what when you said that we do that to ourselves and we generalize ourselves because I don't live in that area where black people.
I can't really hear you, but your mic kind of static.
Let me try to fix that. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's way better.
All right, so I don't really live in those environments where black people put down other black people or bring up black violence. My experience is that we try to find solutions to things like that and not try to point the finger or say where I got from your tone is it seemed like you said two wrongs make a right, where it's okay because we generalize ourselves. Now, you got to take things as individuals, and I think that's where Kanye, I'm not going to call it a mistake because I think Kanye was calculated and I think that he meant everything that he said. I just think that he was overconfident and then thought he was untouchable. You got to be able, if you have an issue with the Jewish people or a certain set of people, you got to name those people and not try to generalize it across everybody. And he thought that he wasn't touchable or he was Teflon, and he obviously wasn't because he's lost more than anybody in the situation just from his words.
Okay. So let me ask you a question, since you disagree with my perspective on generalizations, right? Does the black community have a problem with violence?
Yeah, it's a problem.
That's a generalization.
No, it's not a generalization. You can look statistically at the fact. For me saying that we got to fix. No. You said that we bring that up and we speak upon that negatively on ourselves. And no, that's not my point, and that's not what you said either.
No, I think you missed a part of what he said, because he literally said that in context he was saying that we bring it up, but when we bring it up, and it is a generalization because when we speak about it, we're speaking about all black people as opposed to certain people are saying most. And he was saying that Kanye did the same thing with the facts that he had. He brought up all Jews with the facts that he had, and so we have a problem with the Jews with it being said about Jews, but not about blacks. They're two sides of the same coin in terms of how he presented his argument.
Is that all black people don't live in that space because I don't live in that space. The black people that I'm close to, we don't speak up negatively upon black violence. We acknowledge the issue, but we try to look for a solution. Like the difference is the tone and the negativity.
Go ahead, Poke. I want to get to Poke real quick. You're muted, man.
Yeah, he's still muted. You muted, dog.
Poke, you muted, dog.
Good luck.
You got to unmute yourself.
I just wanted to finish my point really quick. I promise I'll be quick, but I wanted to say something before we went down a slippery road. So the brother just said, do black people have a problem with black on black crime? And the brother said, yeah. And he said, well, you know what? That's a generalization. This is the thing. There's nothing wrong with good generalizations. Nobody's ever going to be upset if you say, you know what? Asian people are good-looking people. Nobody's going to be upset if you say, you know what? Mexican people are very, very smart. The problem is when you have bad generalizations. That's a no-go. You don't do that one. You don't say, yo, these people are thieves. These people are liars. These people do this. Because then you need to prove what you're saying. Okay? But I want to get to my point. What I was trying to say is you got people that should be speaking on these topics, and you got people that should never be speaking on these topics. You got people that are speaking on these topics from a place of humanity and peace and justice and freedom for people. And then you have people that are speaking on these topics from selfishness. Kanye West really, at the end of the day, is just mad that he's not in these circles of people. If Kanye West was in these circles of people the way he wanted to be in these circles of people, then he wouldn't have said none of this. But the issue is he can't get in these circles of people the way he wants to get into these circles with people. And so now he's just going to tell on everybody. And that's why it comes out the wrong way. When you hear a brother like Minister Farrakhan speak on anti-Semitism or Jews, you can be like, damn, that was good. That was good. But when Kanye West speaks on it, he makes mistakes, big time mistakes, because it's coming from the wrong doggone place. And one last point, Kanye West is going through a divorce right now. Because everybody talks about mental illness, but he's going through a divorce right now. He lost his family. And they say that divorce is the second most traumatic experience a person could go through after death. But not only is he going through that, he's going through a public divorce. He's going through seeing his ex-wife be with another guy. He's going through his ex-wife picking up his kids. The point I'm trying to say is he's going through a whole lot of traumatic stuff. The question that I have for you is this. If Kanye West still had his family, if Kanye West was in good graces with in a happy marriage, if Kanye West was getting along with the Jewish people the way he wants to, and I keep saying the way he wants to because when you make $2 billion, you have exceeded what most people have done. But what I'm saying is the way he wants to. All right. If everything was going well for Kanye West, none of this shit would have came up. He would have never opened his mouth to say none of this stuff. So what I'm trying to say is he said all this stuff is because he's going through a traumatic time in his life. Things ain't going well for him, and he's mad. And much like children, when they don't get what they want, they tell on everybody. They start screaming. Everybody's gonna get, oh, I'm getting in trouble. So are you. And these are the mistakes that he made. Why didn't Kanye say all this stuff when things was going great for him? Now I'll land my plane.
What I like to reference though is the song, and I could be way off, but the song that he made, well, I can't remember what year that was, but Can't Tell Me Nothing, when he said, wait till I get my money right. So was this a thing of I finally got my money together, I got my money right, and now I'm just gonna say what the fuck I want to say?
That's exactly.
I would completely believe that if he had done this and his marriage was right and his life was right. But why did he wait until his life is unraveling? We cannot minimize this.
Can I make a point?
Go ahead, Fee. Oh, who was that? Drew?
That was me.
Okay, go ahead, Drew.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Speaking about Kanye specifically, he has a history of making stupid remarks like this ever since 2005. Because he says what he wants to. I don't think that his personal life has much to do with it. I think that if he doesn't get his way, he just lashes out. I think mental health does have a lot to do with it. I think that his marriage may make.
I don't know what happened to Drew.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, he got cut out.
I think his phone cut out.
But we're saying the same thing.
Let me respond to what you said, bro. You've been saying a lot. Let me respond to it. Number one thing, man, right? You said that people should be speaking on things that they had no business speaking on. You know, everybody has a right to speak. Freedom of speech is a really big thing. It's under attack right now. And saying things like that, it undermines the very platform that you own and the very topic that we're speaking on. Second of all, the reason why Kanye spoke the truth is completely irrelevant of the validity of the truth. Who cares? The reason why he did it is what he's saying correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Third point I want to make is Jews have always exploited black celebrities for decades.
True.
Plenty of black celebrities before now have came out and spoke against Jews' exploitational business practices against the black people. It's been happening for decades, bro. So I don't understand how people are just trying to make it seem like it's just Kanye that came out and spoke against this type of thing. You get what I'm saying? And good and bad is subjective. So especially when you apply it to a system. So you can sit there and say you can't speak in generalities. If that's the case, when you go to work and you have a problem with upper management, you ain't got no right to say nothing to them people. You get what I'm saying? Because from their perspective, it's good. Whatever they say is good. Whatever they say is right. You get what I'm saying? Because you're not in a position of power. When you have to be able to see things and how they affect you. You just can't see how things affect your emotions. You get what I'm saying? You got to understand the strategy. And you got to understand the solution. You just can't understand the way that these things make you feel. You understand what I'm saying?
So you just said that he said the truth. What he said was right. So let me ask you one question. Was he right about George Floyd not being killed by that police officer? Was he right that George Floyd died because of fentanyl? Was he right?
Moving the goalposts. No, I'm not saying that.
I'm not moving the goalposts. That's exactly that's what he said. And I'm asking you, was he right about
the
that?
Jews.
No, okay.
Well,
so let me get this right. Let me get this right, y'all. So he was telling the truth about the Jews, but we all know he told a lie about our brother George Floyd. Is that what you're saying?
I agree, but
okay, then
is,
okay. So now, check this out. So now I can take it to a whole nother level. Why don't we love Donald Trump then? Because Donald Trump says some truth. He says some truth.
I don't hate Donald Trump.
I got another one for you. The KKK. They say some truth. Candace Owens. She says some truth.
The KKK said that was truthful.
She said some truth.
It's not about saying some. It's about what truth you're saying compared to the person that you're saying it to.
Y'all getting away from the.
I told him you're moving the goalposts. We're staying on subject with the.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
He said something crazy. He said that the KKK is saying some truth before. I want to know what the KKK said that was the truth.
They do say some truth.
Because it's crazy how you can agree with the KKK, but you can't agree with Kanye. I want to understand what the KKK said, man.
No, time out.
He didn't say he agreed with either one of them.
Yeah, I never.
Right.
Hold on.
Hey, he recording this, man. You can run it back, man.
Hey, my man, let me ask you something. Let me ask everybody on the panel something. Because he just got done talking about your feelings and stuff like this. Are you guys telling me that the KKK doesn't say anything that's true?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you.
I mean, Poke, if you want to give us an example, give us
I need an example, man. I think
an example is they preach that we need to keep our race pure. We don't want to mix races because we won't be here long if we do. That's the fucking truth.
How's that the truth?
But that's pertaining to them.
Everybody doesn't believe that.
No, time out.
Pertaining to them.
Time out.
No. He's right. The KKK will say that both sides, that every race needs to stay with their own self. He's absolutely right. The KKK says they say every race needs to stay with their own self, and because if they don't, they won't be here after so many years. And in terms of the actual race itself, not in terms of humankind, but in terms of white race, black race, Mexicans, Italians, whomever. If there is a certain amount of pureness to the bloodline, after a while you dilute it so much the bloodline doesn't count. Is no longer counted. So in that context,
we have the mother gene, dog. That will never happen.
Yo, can we take a step back though?
Okay, all right.
Can we take a step back because I think we're getting.
Let me try this. Let me try this.
We get way over there with it. Yeah,
let me try this.
Real quick.
I'll take the KKK off the table. They lie about
because that's not the point. Yeah, the KKK wasn't the point. The point was that.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Candace Owens, we don't like her and we call her a coon. She definitely tells some truth. In fact, Candace Owens and Kanye West have the same message right now. So what I'm trying to say to you is a lot of people say some truth, but Marcus's first question was, did y'all watch the whole interview? I watched the whole interview. And yes, Kanye told some truth about them. But the brother chose to lie on our brother George Floyd. So why is it that we gonna sweep that? You're not lying on George Floyd.
Okay.
And also, one last point. He told the truth that we already freaking knew. It ain't like he ain't break some crazy knowledge. Everybody exploits us.
Okay.
We know this already, Kanye. You ain't got.
Let me say. I didn't want to say one thing, right? So if that's the case, one, we already know that's a lie, man. They already did the autopsy. George Floyd died. However, he did have drugs in his system, and just because a person is black doesn't mean they can't have a difference of opinion. And that shouldn't be enough, of a reason to just completely just say somebody's opinion on something does not matter. You get what I'm saying? And then when it comes down to what was the thing we talked about beforehand, man?
I was saying that just because you tell some truth don't mean that it's okay. Hey, listen. My woman come in the house at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she come back and say, "Baby, I was with my girlfriends. We went to eat after the club." She told me some truth, but she didn't tell me that she was smashing old dude after that. But she told me some truth though.
But is the truth that Kanye didn't tell? Does that hurt us?
It's a lie on George Floyd, our brother.
You making
a lie on a brother that died, man, and he's justifying a white supremacist killing a brother.
Man, that is. I'm be real with you, bro. That stuff don't even matter.
It hurts. I don't think it personally hurts us.
Go ahead,
it hurts him because he's not credible in anything he says. But his actions right now is affecting Kyrie, because I believe they based their decision about Kyrie off of what Kanye. I think he's feeling the gist of Kanye.
Facts.
No, them dudes always respond like that. They rolled Nick Cannon out there, you know what I'm saying, and sent them on an apology tour way before Kyrie or Kanye said something. So now Nick Cannon is one of the people.
Yeah, but Nick Cannon's a different animal. I can't put.
Listen, hold on, bro.
No, you can't put Nick Cannon in the same category as Kanye and Kyrie, because what Nick Cannon said, what Nick Cannon said, what he said is who he had on there and what they directly said about the Jews. That's a whole different thing than what Kanye and Kyrie said.
Look, when he talk, I let him talk, bro. When dude talk, he cut me off a couple times. I let him talk. When I talk, bro, y'all gotta let me talk. Just because y'all agree in opinions don't mean y'all can just run the whole conversation.
Go ahead, do your thing.
And said that he believed that black people are the true Jews. They sat there and paraded that man around to every place they could and took everything from him. That is a fact. That's the same exact thing that they did to Kanye West. A financial lynching. Stop it, bro. And then they're trying to do the same exact thing to Kyrie Irving. This is a game plan that the Jews use over and over and over and over and over again. And black people just I don't know what it is. We just so emotionally attached to moot points and irrelevant things, bro. To where we just focus on, it's a distraction. It's a clear distraction.
So what's the game plan, brother? I want to know. Can you explain?
George Floyd never coming back.
Right. But
you talking about the past, they trying to push us in the future. And that's just the reality of it, man.
I got a question for you though.
What?
So we speaking about what Kanye said about the Jews is right, and the Jew, can you explain to me what everything that he said that was right about the Jews?
Well, hey, he said a couple things I was right about the Jews. First of all, how they
run the country.
They own a lot of. One, they own basically the entire media. They own Google. They own Facebook. They own CNN. They own the parent companies that own the parent company. So
that part didn't get him erased from everything he had. I want to know what he said that got him erased. That was true.
That is what got him erased. Because they consider that to be a conspiracy, even though it's the truth that Jews run the world. They have all of this power to just, cut people off or destroy people's lives at the drop of a dime, which they do, which they prove it by doing exactly what they're doing to Kyrie, Kanye, and Nick Cannon.
He said this in the interview. He says
so. What you're saying is that because Kanye said Jews have power, is that they took everything from them?
Yeah.
Nah, it's everything that he said negative about all the Jewish people.
So
pretty much said he said that they were snakes and conniving.
To them, that's what it was.
Nah, Kanye pretty much the whole interview called Jews snakes and conniving instead of naming the people that did him wrong and they took away his concert. He had a temper tantrum.
Was it anti-Semitic when Ice Cube said it? Was it anti-Semitic when Michael Jackson said it?
It's anti-Semitic if anybody says it. If anybody generalizes it.
That is nonsense.
I think the
That's
difference
nonsense.
with all of those actors and everyone is Kanye literally spoke people's names. Everybody else may have touched and said something about the Jews or something like that being anti-Semitic, but Kanye put names out.
And as he should. If these
Go ahead,
people have
Pope.
So like
have
here's the
histories of
thing.
black, if these people have histories of exploiting black people in contracts throughout the years, and somebody say these people have been exploiting us too long, black people, we need to come together, start our own business, get our own factories, give our own jobs, build our own schools, have our own communities, have our own police stations, have our own fire stations. You get what I'm saying? Because this is exactly what the Jews do. The Jewish dollar circulates 28 times before it even leaves out of their community. Black people, I think it's like 8 hours. Like
I thought it was
for
less
him to get
than
on
that.
there and say that,
It
and
was
then
it's
black
less
people,
than that, yeah.
he said one thing wrong that they disagree with, or could be completely false. So what? How does that erase all of the truth that he said? I just don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to me, man.
Let me get Jesse real quick, Poke, and then we'll come to you. Go ahead, Jesse.
So to me, here's the thing. It's not whether or not Kanye said one thing false or not. It's not even in totality what he said during the Drink Champs interview that got him canceled. This is a piling on of stuff. This is Kanye being Kanye for so long that people have finally said we're sick of it, and he hit the right button that people be like, oh, that caused people with money and power to be like, okay, now too much. If Kanye had just said what he said on the Drink Champs interview and hadn't had a history of this, he'd be in the same boat that Cube was, because Cube wasn't really eradicated for what he said. Michael Jackson wasn't too much eradicated for stuff he said. The Jews have power and run Hollywood and run the entertainment industry and media is a running stand-up joke from thousands of different stand-ups, from hacks to some of the greatest stand-ups of all time. It's nothing that has not been in public, private, on an entertainment platform and interviews for forever. So it's not just that. It is the fact that Kanye has been Kanye and doing Kanye stuff for quite some time. Now, to me, the bigger issue is whether or not we gonna deal with this brother and side with this brother in terms of, are we gonna keep letting stuff like this happen? Because it seems to me, stuff like this, whether he's right or wrong, stuff like this only happens to us. It don't happen to all of these other folks. I was saying off the air before we got on the podcast, before we went on air with the podcast. This is slightly deriving, but it's not. We got Brett Favre out here, who has actually caused legitimate harm, lost nothing. Meanwhile, Kanye has lost millions. Kyrie has lost millions. The coach for the Boston Celtics, for having an affair that was consensual, he lost millions. But Brett Favre still got to keep all of his money. Like I get that we're doing the semantical dance of what Kanye said versus the Jews and this, that, and the third. I get all that. It can be important. To be honest, I care less. I care more about the fact that we got two people like us, got two brothers out there.
There's nobody happier than Brett Favre right now. You know what
Facts.
I'm saying? I'm sure he is so happy that all of this Kanye and Kyrie stuff is happening.
It took the light off of it. It took the light off of him.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
and my question is, how did it take the light off of him? For an opinion. Both of these brothers, right, wrong, indifferent, factual or infactual, had an opinion that didn't really cause harm to anyone other than maybe their feelings were hurt. Brett Favre took money from an entire state of disenfranchised poor folk and put it into a building where his daughter goes to help benefit his daughter. And he's out the news. Meanwhile, these two cats have lost millions of dollars for an opinion. Kyrie put up a link to a movie that he didn't star in, he didn't write, he didn't produce, he wasn't the studio behind, but he gets crucified. Meanwhile, everybody else involved with it, nothing happens to them. So, like, I get where we're at with the. Say again, I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
It's the same shit.
Black
It's
people
the same
always
playbook.
be on code, and black people always gonna argue over stupid stuff.
And I was just about to say that, because even though, Brett Favre did what he did, we never really seen the Dominant Society media really bash him.
Why you think they ain't go at Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos?
They not.
Yeah.
And that's when it
Yeah.
comes down to
He's still on there. He's still profiting from it.
like
Why-
niggas
why
was
you think
saying.
that?
We are always
It's the same
they stay
thing.
that's what I envy about the Dominant Society, and I've said this on other shows before. Even if they don't like each other, they still find a way to stay on code and stick together when they need
Every
to.
time.
And then you have us who
And
do
we
things,
can't.
you know what I mean? And we
We
just kind of
can't.
want to keep bashing and bashing and bashing. It's like
We can't stay
like
on.
I'm not a big fan of what LeBron said. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
LeBron's a
like, now some
cornball,
people
right?
said that LeBron got paid to, Nike paid him to say whatever he said or to not
You know,
say
he in
certain
bed
things.
with the Jews, man.
So, and my thing is just like, because I mean, when we talking about the Kyrie thing now, though, but it's, if that's your man's and all of that, is, you know what, he said what he said. I don't really have a comment on it. That's the way I would have liked
It's because
LeBron to handle that
That's what you
situation.
do.
Go
Be
ahead,
quiet
Paul.
on it.
it's because we're not used to having anything. The dominant
Let me-
society is
let-
used
let-
to having
You
stuff.
on mute, folks.
I'm sorry, Poke. You just say Poke.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
let
Poke.
me-
My
let me
bad.
go
Because
ahead and
you
say
me
what
stepped
Poke
on. My
said.
bad. Go ahead,
And
son.
then Fifi, I'm coming to you after Pope.
Yeah, you on mute, bro.
All right, so this is the thing. I'm listening to some things that were said, and now at this point, I kind of forgot. But one thing I remember is people were saying that he had an opinion. Okay. To that, I say he didn't have an opinion. He accused all Jews of being bad people. That's not right. But secondly, when it comes to, black people always bashing each other and other races, they don't gotta go through none of that stuff. They stay on code, right? Okay. Well, in this country, we're the only ones that are infiltrated. We are the only race in this country that actively have agents having us go against each other. We're the only ones where we're actively at war with us at all times. Okay. So it is actually imperative that we do recognize wrong behavior. That's very important that we recognize wrong behavior. We can't just be supporting people just because they black. Oh, well, he black, so I'm staying on code. And with that being said, Marcus, I don't know if you paid attention to my Facebook page, but I'm never going to get on my Facebook page and dog brother Kanye West. Even though I'm on this podcast right now saying how displeased I am with him, I've never trashed him or nothing like that on my Facebook page. Okay. So I do not like how they are treating him. I do not like the treatment. I don't like how they taking his money. I don't like how they dragging him all around the place. I don't like how they treating him. But both things you could be right. I don't like how they treating him, but I also see the mistake that he made. The brother Negan said in the very beginning, we have freedom of speech. Everybody should be able to talk. That is very, very, very true. But you have consequences for what you say too. It's not like you can just say whatever you want to say with no consequence whatsoever. Yeah, of course you can say whatever you want to say, but you have consequences, especially when you're not that speaker. See, for instance, I'm on this panel right now speaking about this. You know why? Because I put a lot of attention into this. This is what I read about. This is what I listen to. I listen to scholars about this. I pay attention to this type of stuff. I feel like I'm well versed and I can speak on this. Kanye got out there with emotion and made a mistake. And I'm giving the brother the props and saying it was a mistake. But we can't sit here. Look, we got boys. We got young men. We can't sit here and not teach our boys. Look, this is a teachable moment here. Now, what if your son became a billionaire? A billionaire. He has the power to get grocery stores, schools, banks, anything, and make a real impact and a historical impact in life. And he messed around and lost $2 billion in 2 days for a statement that, as Brother Jesse said, won't mean nothing in a couple months. It won't even mean anything in a couple months, and you lost $2 billion in 2 days over that. That means that's stupid. That means you're losing. That wasn't smart. That wasn't a good idea. There was a better way to do what he wanted to do. I loved his intentions. And he was right about what he was saying about them. Okay. But he did it the wrong way. And we got to be able to pull our sons to the side and say, you know what? You see what Kanye did? That was the mistake that he made. He wasn't well versed in what he was talking about, and he was being emotional. and he waited till he was going through one of the most traumatic times in his life to speak on this. Speak on things when you're happy. Speak on things when your life is going well, and then you'll see what someone's intentions are. But I just want to make it clear. I'm not bashing the brother Kanye. I'm simply saying there were some mistakes made, and him in the Kyrie situation to me is totally different. And
Go ahead. Let me get Fifi real quick, and then I'll come back to you.
It was like Pope said, it was a lot of shit that I wanted to say, but it was a lot going on. But to touch on what Pope was just saying, right, I was waiting for you to say whether or not you felt like he went about it the wrong way, because I feel like if you would have said that at the beginning, then a lot of the outside the wayward conversation would have went a different way, because I wasn't getting what you were saying until you said that. But like we touched on, like Jesse touched on a couple things in his popping up, and Trent too. Like Kanye been doing this for a long time. This isn't something that's new, because he wasn't really going through anything when he said George Bush don't like black people. Kanye was at the height of, he was at the pinnacle of like his stardom when he was trying to tell us about what was going on when he was overseas with his fashion, and how they was trying not to let him get in and like do what he do. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been speaking on shit like this for a long time. He just so like you said, Marcus, with the whole money right thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it was time now. Like y'all go listen to me now just because. So like he lost $2 billion, give or take. He's still worth $4 after that. But I don't feel like we stay on code as far as, even if we don't agree with it, don't bicker about it in public. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep that in house. Like you can't be, because it's algorithms on here that generate things for other people to know how we feel about it without us even voicing it before we do it. Because they put it to where all these things pop up about Kanye because people are talking about Kanye on your timeline. So you're going to see all of that. It's going to generate that, and all that negativity. You're going to see everything negative that people have something to say about it. But nobody's talking about how we can take this and move forward with it. No matter how he went about it, it doesn't have to. It like no war is ever like sugar and sprinkles and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I look at it as him casting the first stone. Now, as far as the things that he said about George Floyd, absolutely wrong. You know what I'm saying? We all watched it. If y'all didn't, I did. It was a lot. It was enough in it to kill somebody that wasn't used to doing it, and he was, you know what I'm saying, he was well over the weight limit and all of that. It was a whole bunch of technicalities, but we know that. That wasn't cool. I don't agree with that. But I also agree with him when he was saying nobody was saying anything about this, and he ain't have no type of backing when he was going through what he was going through. People were joining in the crazy talk, like, and if anybody's been in a situation where they had the chance of losing their kid, you know what I'm saying? Like you would die before somebody take your kid from you. So it's like, how can you judge him on something that he's going through? Everybody deals with something in a different way. You can't put your ideals or your rationalizations on somebody else or how you supposed to operate, because everybody has a moral compass, right and wrong. You don't have to like touch a stove more than once to know that it's hot, or you know what I'm saying, I don't want nothing to happen to me, so I ain't gonna like try to do nothing to somebody else. You don't need like anything to tell you that. So it's like I feel like
unless your name is Tank, sometimes he feels like you got to do things multiple times to see if you like it or not.
Yeah.
Wild boy.
Well, go ahead, my fault.
It's all good. But like I feel like if everybody would stop talking about it as far as what he did wrong and what he did right, like Pope said, we can build on that, because I feel like it was deeper than what it is about the Jews, him saying that Jews run, like the media run the entertainment industry, like these things that's been said already. I think it's more so on like him having that dog whistle to people that know that where we come from and who we are. That's what they're afraid of. So, and it's easier to show them that the entertainment industry can and will shut him down than to really let you know about the spiritual war that's going on, that he's trying to fight within himself, for one, and the demons that he got going on with him. So I think everybody should take a step back and look at it objectively, well, at least from like what I've been seeing on my timeline. And I hate that I see people that be like, I don't understand what was going on. I don't even want to hear about it. But it's like, take the time to listen to the interview, because he explains everything to you. And then as you go on that apology tour, you see all these other things, that little tidbits that he shows, like about the list with every executive that runs every other company. I don't know if y'all seen that video with the red the spreadsheet. You seen that yet?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so he was saying, like, he even said in that video, he was like, if I gotta send that whistle, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, I'll blow that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I see that he see how he went about it, and in his backtracking, he's trying to correct it and still let you know what's going on. But we so wrapped up in the craziness and the spectacle that's built around it, because black people want something to entertain them at all times. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think Power out right now. You know what I'm saying? Like Love and Hip Hop and shit ain't on right now, so they need some type of entertainment. And this is what that is. It's a circus, and we're watching it. We're seeing somebody tell us that this is the circus. This is what they're doing inside the circus. They're giving you the script. You know what I'm saying? It's like watching wrestling and knowing everything that's gonna happen, because you see him talking. You know, like, you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. All right. Tough. You know what I'm saying? Boom, suplex. So it's like that. I mean, I'm gonna let somebody else go, because I don't want to get on the tangent. But go ahead, Jesse.
Go ahead, Jesse.
I don't want to respond. I gotta hook my computer up to hook my charger up to the laptop.
I think there's.
Well, I wanted to respond to Pope.
I think there's something also. Go ahead, Doc.
Pope said that Kanye spoke on all Jews. That's one of the things that he said. He did not speak on all Jews. He specifically said he was speaking on Jews within the entertainment industry. I just want to clear that up. And within the Hollywood, stuff like that. He didn't say all Jews move that way. And then I said, why do you think white people don't put a lot of? You said that we need to put more focus on when people do something wrong in the black community. So my question is, why do you think that white people don't do the same? Hold on. So why do you think that white people don't do the same exact thing with their people within their community? You know what I'm saying? Take for instance Jay Bezos. Take for instance Jeffrey Epstein. Take for instance Brett Favre. They all learn to sweep it under the rug. They're gonna always showcase the good things and and the best angles of their people. And they're always going to push them forward. And then when they do something wrong, they're always going to protect them. They're going to protect their society. They're going to protect their culture. They're going to protect their systems. They're going to protect their companies. And then most of all, they're going to protect their influences and their people. You feel me? And so I said, how can people voicing their opinions on something? Going back to Brett Favre and Jeffrey Epstein.
Excuse me, Jesse. I apologize, Jesse.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, not Jesse. Not Jesse. I apologize. The gentleman speaking. I apologize. You went out. Could you repeat that?
Said, how can people voicing their opinions, like black people voicing their opinions, which is completely legal, have more consequences than actual criminal activity, such as Brett Favre and Jeffrey Epstein? You get what I'm saying? That shows you right there that it has nothing to do with what they said. What that shows you is that it has more to do with a lack of unity within the black community and a lack of power within the black community. That's what it's about, because that's what dictates what's right and what's wrong. That's what dictates what matters and what doesn't matter. Because you got to have the power to do it. You can sit there, we can sit there and have these conversations till we turn blue in the face. If we don't have the power to push forward our solutions, what use does it do? And what does it do? And that's why I agree 100% with what Kanye was saying about the whole fiasco. If you watch the entirety thing and take everything into its entirety, you can eat the meat and spit out the bones. That man said a lot of truth. And it'll be beneficial for us to do exactly what the Jews did. You get what I'm saying? Create their own communities. Make sure you spend money with black mechanics, black grocery stores. You know what I'm saying? Black jewelers. Black, you know what I'm saying? The whole nine. Make sure that the black dollar keeps on circulating so that we have that financial power and that sense of community within our own community. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, do you think you said that they lost money. I said, do you think that they lost money because they were wrong, not intelligent, or do you think that it was just because of, black people lacks power or unity? You know what I mean? Those are the things I wanted to ask you, man.
You kind of missed a couple of my points, bro, and I appreciate you listening, but you missed a couple of my points. The point that I made about why the white people, it's easier for them to be on code, it's easy for everybody else to be on code, is because we are literally the only race of people in this nation that is under attack. We are at war with. They divided us from the very beginning, but they still divide us. They divide men versus women. They make sure that they pay women more than they pay men, so that we're bickering against each other. They separate light skin versus dark skin. And so what I'm trying to say is, if we go to church, there's agents in the church. If we go to the mosque, there's agents in the church. The Black Panther Party was destroyed by agents. The Nation of Islam destroyed by agents. Every movement that we make, there are agents that come in and destroy that. So what I'm saying is, we're the only ones in America like that. So if we are at war and people are agents and people are infiltrating us to sow mischief and sow problems, then we do have to take a step back and say, hey, wait a minute. Is this an agent, or is he or she under an agent's control or whatever? We have to think about that. We have to. But ultimately, though, I'm not understanding how we can be so pro Kanye West and be anti Candace Owens. That alone shows how messed up we are. I'm not anti anybody. I'm willing to bet we all on here agree that Candace Owens ain't about shit, and we don't fuck with her too tough. But her and Kanye West have the same exact message at this point. And I'm happy that you said that, niggas, because you did say it was one time or one thing that he said. This is the same person that said that slavery was a choice. This is the same person that wore White Lives Matter shirt. This is the same person that said George Floyd was killed by fentanyl, not the police officer. This is the same person that hooked up with Donald Trump. So he keeps on doing it. It's not one thing. He just keeps on doing it. So at what point do we say he's just like Candace Owens? He's no different than Candace Owens. Tell me the difference between hold on. Tell me the difference between Candace Owens and Kanye West.
I don't. The difference between Candace Owens and Kanye West is they're male and female. My whole thing is Candace. The Candace Owens went on a panel with Killer Mike, T.I., and somebody else. Candace Owens, for the first couple moments of where she spoke, she said literally, bro, She said the same exact things that Farrakhan had said, Dr. Umar had said. She said the same exact things, nothing different. You can go back and watch the interview now. And the only thing black people did was agree with her for the first part. Killer Mike had to come in and say, hey, she's saying the same exact things our black leaders said. Because they were just so emotionally just against her that they wouldn't even hear what she was saying. And that's my point to where people had these problems with Kanye and Candace Owens and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. What about the things that they say that's right? You say that he said that slavery was a choice. Slavery was a choice. If the white people go though and tell you that you got to go get enslaved, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? You have a choice on what you're gonna do. Did you have black people that ran away from the plantation? And do you have black people that fought against the white people knowing they weren't gonna lose? They said they'd rather die than become slaves. You have black people that jumped off the ships. That means a choice. That is a fact. You cannot ignore it. Yeah, it may hurt your feelings. When I first heard it, it pissed me off. I was making all type of status, man. Kanye tripping. But when I
and honestly, that was my mindset with that as well. Looking at it on a completely different side.
You will be a slave. You feel me? Like,
and then that's when that objective thinking come in, because objectively, that you right. They didn't I made a post they didn't keep the people that was gonna rebel. They kept the people that wanted to stay slaves, that was afraid to die. It was just those few that was like, all right, I ain't about to jump over because I can't swim. But as soon as we touched down, I'm out this bitch. I would have been one of them. I can't be no slave. You couldn't do that shit to me now.
What did your man from Black Panther say? What was his name?
Bury me in the sea. So that I can swim with the ancestors.
Bury me in the ocean so I can swim with my ancestors.
Yeah.
Hey,
throw me in the ocean.
We got some damn nerve. We got some nerve to tell our ancestors that they chose to be a damn slave when not one single one of us on this panel has given our life for shit. If you feel that way, why don't you give your life right now for what's going on? We're still oppressed today, aren't we? You cool with that? Do you choose to be oppressed today?
So I think here.
So what are you suggesting?
We never was in that situation, brothers. We were never in that situation. I would never fix my mouth to say somebody they chose to be a slave.
I say the same exact thing when this man first.
Especially when today, all we do is get on YouTube channels and talk shit and run our mouths. Not one single one of us has given our life for anything. If we really feel like this, then why don't we die for something right now?
I mean, I still don't think that negates the fact that somebody wants to look at it as
it does negate
you didn't have to do this.
Exactly. You still have a choice.
It kind of does. It kind of does negate, and here's why I would say it kind of negates it. Here's why I would say it kind of negates it. It's one of the few times that me and Poker agreed on a bunch of stuff because we don't agree on all. At least the last podcast we didn't agree on a whole lot. So here's the thing. So he said something earlier that his statement that he just made proves. He said earlier he was talking about the fact that Kanye's not the dude who should have been saying what the things that it was that he said. Sometimes who you are negates your ability to speak on certain topics, whether it's truth or not. Because of who you are or what you do, it negates it. Kanye has had a history of idiocy, whether we feel like it's collective idiocy, individualized idiocy. He's had a history of outlandish behavior, outlandish statements. And though he is, and wait a second, bro, and though he is in the industry, though he's in the industry and understands about being in the industry, he is not one who is studied enough to be able to make certain kinds of statements where people who are not in the industry can say, you know what, that makes a valid point. Here's how I prove it. Pope just said, not one of us have given our lives for anything. Not one of us know what our ancestors went through to be able to say with a certainty that slavery was a choice. I get the methodology and the psychology of what you're talking about, niggas, but Poke is also right. We weren't in that situation. And so it's hard for us, it's easy for us on this side of freedom or on this side of slavery to say, oh, it was a choice, as opposed to what they were. We're not qualified. There's certain things that Kanye is not qualified to say. And because he's not qualified to say it, it doesn't negate his right to say it, but it negates the validity behind what he says. So whether or not what he said is true or not is irrelevant in terms of how the masses, including us, are going to receive it. The bigger issue, again, to me is, what are we going to do about this? So like Poke was saying that even in terms of how whites deal with theirs and how as opposed to how we deal with ours, the reality of it is this: we as a people in general have never really had a lot of anything. So for us to do the crab in the barrel mentality, pull each other down when we do something stupid instead of rallying around, supporting and building back up, it's not something we're used to because we're next man up. They have had the oppressive systems and structures in this country have had wealth for multiplicity of generations. So they understand in order to keep it, we got to make our weakest even look strong. These people are the same type of people who stood behind George W. Bush with his stupidity, stood behind Clinton, stood behind Reagan, stood behind George Bush Sr. They've stood behind a bunch of political idiots, a bunch of entertaining idiots, a bunch of people like Jeffrey Epstein and like Brett Favre who have committed real crimes, and you hear nothing about. Brett Favre is a former quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback, and ESPN did 60 seconds on him. They did 4 days worth of a nigga having an affair. That's the difference. They know how to rally around and say, okay, but they understand that their stuff has had.
It wasn't during the off season,
but I mean, still, they understand how to rally around and support. Our issue is that we don't know how to rally around and support. I don't care whether Kanye was right or not. I really don't. What he said in general doesn't affect my life one way or the other. I woke up the next day the same way I woke up the day before he said what he said. But in terms of whether or not I will rally, and I'm not a Kanye fan. I really want Kanye to shut up like I want Jada Pinkett Smith shut up. I want them both to just shut up and leave me alone. But I will support their right to say what to say, but I will also rally around when I see how they're being done wrong. I believe in pull these Negroes to the back and say, look, we got to have a talk behind closed doors about what you're doing. But in public, bro, I got your back. I may not agree with what you're doing, but I'm gonna have your back. I don't like what LeBron said about Kyrie because that's supposed to be your man's. Your statement should have been, yo, he's gonna say what he's gonna say. I support his right to say it. That's my dude. I'm not gonna get involved. And then behind the scenes, if he thought Kyrie said some dumb stuff, pull him aside, like, yo, man, you gotta correct it, do whatever, whoop, and then take care of behind the scenes. We take care of too much of our own stuff in public quarters, which gives everyone else the right to criticize us publicly. That we get pissed off when everybody else criticizes us publicly. That's crazy. If we take care of our stuff behind closed doors and build up publicly, we'd be a whole lot better off. Yes, we need power. We absolutely need power. I've been saying that for years. We need power more than we need money. We had money on Black Wall Street. They blew us up. We need power. But we can't get power because power takes unity. And we don't have that right now. Not as a whole. We got pockets of unity. We ain't got unity as a whole.
And why
that's the problem.
Unity now? Because like you said, when you brought up Black Wall Street, what we had then is we weren't, we were segregated. So we didn't have a choice but to be, somewhat or more so than not united. Now since integration, that all kind of went out the window. So, which I believe was part of the design. And it's like, hey, if we are going to do this, if we're going to integrate, well, let's do the divide and conquer. Let's go ahead and, throw that, let's do that. So I think it's hard for us to. I think it's hard for us to unite now. And then a lot of people even have the fear of uniting again like that because some people will just be like, well, if we do it again, all they're gonna do is blow it up again or find some kind of way to destroy it. But
that's because we missed the point. They had money, not power. Black Wall Street was a bunch of folks, a bunch of black folks with a bunch of black businesses making a bunch of black money, but had no power. Power brings influence. Power writes policies. Power directs laws. Power puts police officers in positions. Power causes wars and says we're not going to fight them. We're going to go fight them. We had money. We had no power. We have always been seeking money because money brings stuff. They seek power because they understand with power comes the money.
Can you have power with no money?
Yes, because eventually power brings money.
Okay.
Eventually power brings money. Dr. King,
The Voice,
had no real money. He had backing, but he had no real money. But he had power, and they killed him for power. Malcolm X had power. I don't know if the scene in the movie with Denzel was true or not, but when he got all the brothers standing in front of the police station, he goes, and they all shift and turn, and the police officer goes, that nigga got too much power. That's what they were afraid of.
Too much power for one man.
Unified applied power.
and that was all done with a voice.
Specific problem. But I just
It's going to be an issue.
Man. He said that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's going to always be an issue for us. One, we don't have black leaders. We don't have anyone to look up to. We don't have anyone to lead us. And then those that do step up, they always fall to the side. We don't have that. So we have the right team now. Not saying team, but the youth, because these youth that we have now don't care whether they live or die. They with the shit. That's more or less to say. But we don't have the leaders. No one is knowledgeable.
Now, my thing about having the leaders is,
hey, bro, I gotta.
Should we just go ahead and have leaders?
Point I was gonna make, bro.
What we found when we do have leaders, and some people I listen to, is that we shouldn't look to 1, 2, or 3 people to lead us, because every single time we have that, they end up just killing them. So what a lot of people say is, no, we all have to be some kind of collective and not just look at a single person or two to lead us to a promised land.
Negroes look like he gonna get me. Say something, Negro.
No. I agree with you, but I want to answer what you were saying though. You said that we don't have any leaders. I agree 100%. And the thing is, the reason why we don't have any leaders is because no leaders is ever good enough for black people. Black people need Jesus down here to lead them now.
We wouldn't even follow Jesus.
You can't even have that because in the whole Kanye interview they were talking about that, and then like,
you get what I'm saying? Everything will be a problem, bro. I'm telling you, man. That look, and then when it comes down to it, man, you highest individuals, right? That we've had, they've been the worst people for us a lot of times. This as of recent, not in the '60s when we had Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. You feel me? But like, as far as Obama go, Obama was the first black president. What did he do for black people?
Nothing.
We can actually see. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing.
Anytime it came down to a plan specifically for black people, he felt as though he had no right to do it. And the only thing that black people will do is make excuses for it. And then you'll have
he need more than one term.
In more than one term. Then you'll have Trump come out there, lay out a plan, the first president to ever lay out a plan for black people that's going to actually give us billions. And they still don't vote him in the office. Bro, it's like, I don't know, man. You get what I'm saying?
Let me tell you, let me just say this why I like the Trump. He spit a lot of jewels. Because he sat there and told the whole world basically that they were the insurgents, that they didn't have any rights to this land. But that flew over everybody's head.
Yeah. Trump said a lot of crazy stuff, but Trump said a lot of truth. Trump was a straight shooter. You know what Trump stood, and you know he didn't stand. You know what I'm saying? You can tell Trump was telling the truth because there was a lot of white people that ain't like Trump. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So you knew it was like, okay, this dude, like, he just speaking his mind up there. What you see is what you get. Biden sits there and panders. You see the way he was talking to the black caucus? You get what I'm saying? You see the way Biden got out here and told black people, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
That's insane to me.
That's what he said.
But the whole thing is insane. So yeah, Trump spit a couple of jewels, but my issue with Trump was more so that he's not qualified. I don't care how much truth you can spit. I need you to be qualified to do the job that you serve. Whether we're talking about president, mechanic, doctor, whatever. He was not
Did
qualified
Donald
because he didn't know.
did
No,
Donald Trump
he
fail
What,
as
what,
president?
what did you
he
want?
no
What did
he
you
didn't
want
no.
him to do?
Here's why he didn't fail as president. He didn't fail as president for the agenda that he had because he had the backing continually to do it. The problem with Obama is this,
No, he just
and
didn't
yeah,
care.
he didn't do a whole lot for black folks. Hold on, he didn't do a whole lot
had
for
an
black folks. I'm
agenda.
not
They
saying that.
like nothing
Obama
man
never
divided
had
nothing
the
that he wanted
continual.
nothing that he
No,
wanted to implement.
he
was
never
like
he
went
never
through.
had the continual backing. Even in his first term, he never had the continual backing because the Democrats who wanted him in, only because they didn't want Hillary, they didn't really back him with it. He had the control. The Democrats had the control of the House and the control of the
That's
Senate,
so.
and they still didn't let
When
him.
Trump
They
ain't
still
getting
didn't
the
pass
backing he
most of the
want,
stuff that he wanted. When Trump got in office, didn't have control of the House and Senate, he still was able to do whatever he wanted to do because he had the backing. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about we don't back out, we don't back our people, we don't back stuff. You were right when you said we couldn't. The problem with us not being able to have a leader is because for black folk, no leader is good enough, and Jesus wouldn't even be good enough. It's just the truth. We have become so it has to be perfect, and perfect for me, not perfect for everybody, but perfect for me. That no matter who steps up, there's always something wrong. We could have had Jesse Jackson. He ain't perfect, but he was somebody. We could have had Al Sharpton. He ain't perfect, but he was somebody. Like steps up. It's us first who tears them down because we don't want to take their flaws and cover their flaws and deal with their flaws in the background while we push them to the front in the foreground. White folks and a lot of these other races and stuff, they do just that. They hide their leaders and their public figures. They hide their flaws as best they can and keep them to the back and deal with them in the background while pumping them up front. Bill Cosby went to jail for the same thing that Harvey Weinstein did. Harvey Weinstein free. Bill Cosby had to go to jail for it. We jumped on Bill Cosby and left Harvey Weinstein alone while they kept check it. The Cosby Show was pulled off of Netflix, off of Hulu, off of Amazon Prime. Just got back on Amazon Prime a little bit ago. Every Harvey Weinstein thing he's ever touched and his company's ever touched is still out there. Because they were like, we're gonna deal with you in private and keep pushing you to the front because we don't want anything taking your place. We're always next man up instead of the person up. Back them for what right, wrong, or indifferent, strength or not. Back them. And try to help them do whatever it is they're trying to do. As long as they're looking to serve the good of the full community.
If we disagree on
strategy, and they're the problem.
At least
the problem is we don't have any common goals.
You get what I'm saying?
That part.
And Trump, the reason why Trump got so much done is because Trump didn't care what nobody said. Trump ain't care what his cabinet say. Trump ain't care what the people at the White House say. Trump ain't care what the Republicans say. Trump ain't care what the Democrats say. Trump only care what Trump said. Oh, you don't want to back me? Guess what? Ain't nobody doing that. Shut the government down. Oh, it ain't working? Okay, I'm going to write some executive orders. You can talk about me on the news all y'all want to. Oh, y'all want to do a press conference? Schools? Ma'am, shut up. Sit down. You're an idiot. I don't want to talk to her. Next person. You're never coming back to it. You get what I'm saying? Trump was in there dragging his nuts over everything.
So
Trump
what I
ain't
want to
care.
do now is I want to get our last words on Kanye. Anybody got any last words for Kanye? Poke, I know you got something to say.
Yeah. So I just want to reiterate what I'm saying. Two things can be true. I do not like how he's being treated. I do not like the fact that the brother is losing all his money. I don't like that they are making him the poster child for anti-Semitism. But at the same time, I see the mistakes that he made. And they were many. They were many mistakes. And at the same time, I cannot differentiate Kanye West from Candace Owens. I cannot differentiate, and I cannot forget that Kanye West continues over and over to do coonish things. He continues over and over to try to find a base outside of black people. He offends black people. He betrays black people. And now he's to a point where he needs to find a base for himself. So he wants to rock with the Candace Owens crowd. Also, as far as teaching moments, this is something that I'm going to get with my sons and say, listen to me. If you become a millionaire, if you become a billionaire, don't you ever in your life lose everything you got over somebody that is worth nothing. Candace Owens is worth nothing. Candace Owens has nothing to lose. Candace Owens has no real talent. Candace Owens doesn't even have a movement. And Kanye West aligned himself with Candace Owens and lost $2 billion in 2 days. That's stupidity. If he was making a power move for black people, why didn't he align himself with Farrakhan? If this was for us, if this was for the cause, why didn't he align himself with somebody else that's more credible than Candace Owens? This right here was all about Kanye West. But at the same time, at the same exact time, I don't like how he's being treated. I don't like how he's being treated. But I got 2 sons, and I'm going to bring my sons through and be like, look, man, this was the mistake that was made. You got a freedom of speech. You can speak on things. You could do what you want, but you better be on point. And Kanye wasn't on point. And really, that's all I got on that. But I'm hoping that we get to Kyrie because I support Kyrie 1,000%.
Hey, Marcus, you on mute, bro.
My fault. Miss Tweety, did you have a last word about Kanye?
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I just hate that the brother is in a position. He had some faults. I just hate that it was nobody at the top of the ladder that he could have reached out to that would have helped him. It's a shame that that man had to go all out the way he did. I'm different. I support him. I understand. Some people see the pain. I see the point. I'm glad he got rid of them soul contracts. Did he go about it the right way? Maybe not. But who's to say that our way that we wanted him to do it was right? I don't know. I support the brother. I see what he's doing. I hope he opened up his black bank. Maybe it's the stepping stone. Maybe it'll cost him a lot, but it'll help the rest. Sometimes you got to put yourself out there to lose, but it'll help a whole nation. I don't know. But I learned a lot from y'all. I learned to look at things from a different perspective, and I can appreciate the topic.
And that's what this is about, Miss Tweety. You know what I mean? Especially when I have things like this and I got people from different parts of the country, you know what I mean, who think differently, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people
I like
here in Western Pennsylvania, a lot of them think the same. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, that's very safe to say. But you have to learn to be teachable. Most people of color aren't teachable. We respond to respond instead of responding to listen. That's why I didn't speak much. I listened. I took that all in because it taught me to look at things in a different perspective. So when we get off of here, I'm going back and look at the thing again because some things I judged wasn't the way you guys seen it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so it was a teachable moment for me.
I can dig that. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and step into Kyrie because
you start with somebody else because I'm going in.
as we said a little earlier that Kanye pretty much got the ball rolling for why Kyrie is being mutilated in the media and everywhere else, and he's losing money. So for the people who don't know, and I don't know who you are, if you don't know, you clearly live under a rock, or you just are not in tune to what's going on with society right now. But Kanye. I'm sorry, not Kanye. Kyrie. Kyrie posted this. Hebrews to Negroes, wake up, Black America. Now, I did not see the documentary. I heard it's a sequel. It's a sequel or the sequels to it. But I never even heard of this documentary until they were talking about Kyrie posting it. So has anybody seen it, parts of it, the whole thing, anything like that? You've seen it, Poke? Okay. So now again, when we come to the subject of Kyrie, I'm with Kyrie simply because all he did was share a link. He shared a link. He did not open his mouth. He did not tweet anything besides sharing a link. And again, I'm sure we've all heard, scrolling through our social media, watching YouTube and all of that. Everybody's hopping on Kyrie, but nobody's hopping on Jeff Bezos or Amazon, because that fucking DVD, or I'm sorry, that documentary is still up right now, right?
Yeah.
But we got Kyrie going through all of this bullshit. You know what I mean? Just because he shares something that a white company owns and that they put out. So I just want to get everybody's take on this. Miss Tweety, I will probably save you for last. Is that cool with you? Because I know you want to go here.
No, I'm just going to listen. I'm learning. I'm listening.
Okay. Fee, you want to go? You want to start us off with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, shit, man. I agree. I agree with not Kanye, but Kyrie. I agree how he responded in his interview. Everything that he said was true and true to him. And he stayed true to himself. I didn't really pay attention much to his apology tour, but as far as like the interview that I seen with it, is like he was sure in letting them know that he heard the whistle from Kanye. He knows who he is. As far as if you, and I'm just speaking it objectively in the sense that he's obviously well versed in religion, because he reads, and I think he said he grew up I think he's actually Muslim. I believe that's what he said in one of the things I said. But he understands that in the Bible, how it says, like in the 12 tribes, like Ham, Shem, and Japheth, in Genesis and all of that. He understands how Black people are considered the God's chosen, and he's acting accordingly. He's just going off of what he's read and the stuff that he's going off of and how he sees himself. So if he sees himself as that, and we're speaking in biblical terms, he can't be anti-Semitic. He can't be racist towards Jews, because he himself is a Jew. And if he understands that, he shouldn't be persecuted how he is, because he's one of them. And that's where I think that was the connection, where I said when I touched on it with Kanye, is like once Kanye put us with them, once Kyrie put us with them, that set off like a light bulb or like an alarm. They went into DEFCON against Black people. You know what I'm saying? They got to stop that as before that even comes up, or before people even get a chance to look into it. They have to shut that down. Like the stuff with Brett Favre, it's always something that's a distraction that they throw in there when people start talking about people of certain statures. Brett Favre shit was going on, and then boom, the Meku Daku dude cheat on Nia Long. You know what I'm saying? That's the distraction for Black people, because that's what they need. They need to distract us. They need to have us looking that way while they're doing shit that way. If you get what I'm saying. And I don't think Kyrie is the only one who heard that. I think he's the first one to actually, outside of Kanye, I think he's the first one to actually like walk away from it, to at least try to do something more with it. I think that's why he retired. You know what I'm saying? Because for one, if he retired, he's not beholden to it, like they code of conduct, no contracts or anything like that. So whatever he had to do to get out of that contract to say what he want, I think that, yeah, more power to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I stand with him. Just like I stand with Kanye, albeit some of his shit is outlandish, you know what I'm saying? But I take the truth in it and leave the rest, you know what I'm saying? Because that's all I worried about is the truth. And it don't seem like nothing but truth is coming from these two dudes. So that's where I stand with it.
All right, anybody want to piggyback off of that? Go ahead, Jesse.
So for me, I don't agree or disagree with Kyrie because based off of the tweet, there's nothing to agree or disagree with. He tweeted it with no context. He tweeted it saying nothing. He didn't even say, go take a look at this movie. He just tweeted it. He tweeted it really. There's nothing to agree or disagree with him on because in terms of just the tweet. Now, what he said during the first round of his apology tour and how he referenced us and putting us with them, it's a whole different thing. But his whole situation started off of a non-contextual tweet. So the world got pissed off at him. The NBA got pissed off at him. Jews got pissed off at him for tweeting about a movie that he had nothing to do with, wasn't involved in, didn't write nothing like that, don't have the platform to put it on. They got pissed, and the movie didn't make no money from it, and it's making no money for retweeting it. And the movie's also based off a book. The documentary is based off of a book that has already been out. Had nothing to do with any of that. And so we upset because he tweeted? For real? For that leg of it, I have no issue one way or the other. He just tweeted. I'm pissed off more so because Kyrie did exactly what they asked him to do. And after doing what they asked him to do, that still wasn't good enough. No, go back and do it again. Now we got these 5 conditions you gotta live up to before we put you back on.
6.
Nah. I'm sorry, 6. Yeah, 6 conditions before we let you come back. So we're gonna suspend you for 5 games, maybe because it may be more. And now we're gonna put these conditions on top of it, which gonna guarantee it's more than 6 games, more than 5 games, all because you tweeted about a movie people disagree with. So what? Nigga, it's a movie. It's a documentary. It is a documentary where people are speaking about things they have studied on. Whether you agree with their studies or not, whether you agree with their experiences or not, this is their life. This is what they've studied or their life experience or whatever the case may be. All he did at the very most, he said that at the very most to me, the tweet said he found this interesting. At no point before any of this do we know he agreed with the movie or not. I found it interesting, so I'm here. Let me share what I found interesting. Isn't that what the social media platform was originally built upon? Twitter and Facebook and back in the MySpace days and Black Planet days and all of them is built upon just putting stuff you found interesting out, the music you found interesting out, the movies, the artists or whatever you found interesting. You're supposed to be able to have access to the world and share it to the world. That's what I found interesting. And so now he does that, and we get pissed off and take all of this stuff from him just because he found something interesting. Nigga, please. If people knew half of the stuff I found interesting, you understand that and I'm as a Christian pastor, they would cancel my black behind quicker than you can say my name. Like it's ridiculous, and for people to rally behind us and be like, yeah, he needs to. It's stupid. That's why I'm so pissed. I was never really a LeBron James fan before. Like I'm Michael Jordan all the way. I'm old, so it's MJ all the way, greatest of all time. So you can't get people. I don't get in that debate about him and LeBron. But what I've always given LeBron is off the court. He has shown himself to be one of the best stand-up athletes for black rights and for the players. Arguably almost since Jim Brown, at least the stuff I have known. until this moment. When he didn't stand with his boy off of this, I was like, yeah, you a sucker, man. There's no way in the world that your boy should be going through this and you come out and publicly castigate him for a tweet about something he found interesting, something that LeBron probably never even took the time to watch. I can't comment on the movie too much because I didn't watch it. So I'm not qualified to talk about the context, even from a Christian perspective, as to whether or not it's offensive or not. But even if I found it offensive, it ain't Kyrie's fault. He didn't make the damn movie. And this is the last thing I'm going to say real quick. Something that I finally get the opportunity to say because it's kind of, I guess, in context with his movie. I've been trying to understand why Jews get offended about black folks saying they're the original people and relating it to Hebrew. Last time, I've always tried to figure out when Jew became a nationality or an ethnicity and stopped being a religion. They were all biblically in the Old Testament. They were the children of Israel, and before that, they were Hebrew. Their religion, what they believed, what they put their confidence and their faith in, was a religion called Judaism. Somehow, somewhere down the line, I don't know where. I'm ignorant, so I don't know. Somewhere along the way, it stopped being Hebrew and Israelite and became Jew, and it became all encompassing. I don't understand that. From what I know with the documentary, it was saying that black folks are the original Hebrew. We are the original people in that regard. Well, history says that. Look at the region. If you believe in the Bible, whether you're talking about the Old Testament or some different texts from different other religions, most of them will have everything started in the African area. Nigga, that's us. So if they came from there, or even if they came from the Middle East, nigga, that's still us.
Yeah, but they don't want to. You going to 95% of churches right now, maybe higher than that. What color is hanging up in that church?
That's because they're trying to appease black. First of all, if you want to take it from that standpoint, I promise I'll shut up after this because you brought the Jesus thing in. If you want to take it from that standpoint in terms of Christian churches, that pisses me off because biblically in the New Testament, or actually a part of the Old Testament and in the New Testament, we're not supposed to be hanging those types of images. We're not supposed to have images of anything in the celestials and in the heavens. It's sinful to do so. So to have these pictures of Jesus and angels, whether he black, white, Indian, or whatever, in your church, you're not doing it according. You're not doing what the word says. We're not supposed to be doing that type of stuff. So you're already disqualified from being angry or not in terms of whether we're real people or not, because you're not doing what the word says.
That ain't Jesus. That's Borrega they got hanging up there.
Caesar
Borgia.
But
the blonde one is Leonardo da Vinci's little boyfriend or something.
Yeah.
But what I see, Jesse, he had hit on the six items that Kyrie has to complete for him to get back on the Nets team.
600, 6 items and 500,000.
So yeah, it says apologize, condemn the movie, $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes, sensitivity training, anti-Semitic training, meet with ADL, Jewish leaders, and meet with Joe Tsai to demonstrate understanding. So those are the 6 things that he has to do. He has to complete to get back on the Nets team. And I heard Shannon Sharp say today, which I agree with him. I feel like they're basically making this man grovel. They are taking away his dignity. They are just doing.
This is a new form of bucking.
Yeah, it's buck breaking. That's exactly what.
It's a new form of bucking. Yeah, that's
so it's like, hey, if any of y'all other Negroes try this, this is what's going to happen to you. So I want anybody else, go ahead and speak off of, if you want to, those 6 things, or how do you feel about those things that they want him to complete for him to get back on the team, or do you think he retires? Go ahead, Pope.
One of the most important things that's on that list is the $500,000. To me, as far as I'm concerned, right? Because number one, he's already given that money to them, and they gave it back.
Yeah, they gave it back to him,
right?
or they just declined.
But this is what's interesting to me. What raised my antennas? Do you notice how like whenever we cross their line, we got to drop a bag on them? But did Riley Cooper drop a bag on us when he dropped the N-word? Did any of these people that dropped it? Did Paula Dean drop a bag on us? What did these people do whenever they made the same mistakes? Did we demand money from them? No. They could give us a half-hearted, I'm sorry. And that's all it is. You see what I'm saying? So but to me, that's very important because we get caught up in that. Fuck your apology, man. You know what I mean? Throw the bag at us. Because I know I know your bank account is gonna feel that. You know what I mean? I don't need to know if your apology was sincere. Throw the bag at us. But at this point, man, the harsher the consequences, the more real you know it has to be. And what Kanye posted was a great documentary, and the documentary is telling us who we are. And our number one problem, my brother Negan said, we would need Jesus to come down here to be a leader to us, because that's how sick and toxic we are, right? Why are we so sick and toxic? Because we don't know who we are.
True and correct.
Why don't we know who we are? Because of them. Like I'm not gonna get into bashing ourselves. There's a reason why we are in this condition. But what Kyrie posted is our salvation. If we could just know who we are, people go to church every single day. You know, we are the most devoted at going to church, if you really think about it. And none of us ever really realize that the Bible is about us.
True and correct.
It's about us. So once they realize the Bible is about us, that can explain why we get so much hate. That can explain why there's a whole war going against us. And before I land my plane, I would like to, if y'all don't mind, I would like to leave you with one scripture, right? Genesis 15, 13 verse. And he said unto Abram, know a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not there, and shall serve them. And they shall afflict them for 400 years.
100 years.
That verse right there is the whole problem that they have with what Kyrie dropped, because that verse right there, no other people on the face of the planet fits that description other than you and us. That's it. They can say, oh, the Irish were slaves. Oh, they were slaves. Oh, the Egyptians were slaves. But guess what? None of them were in a strange land, which would mean a whole totally different continent. And none of them were in a strange land for 400 years. And also, what's the very definition or the very basis of a Jew? They are Abraham's seed.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis is saying that we are Abraham's seed. So somebody is lying. Somebody is lying. And I'll land my plane.
Fly, brother,
Anybody
fly.
else? Miss Tweety, you wanna chime in on that?
Because I don't.
All right.
Because I go somewhere else with it.
Now my
I'm just saying, if you know who you are as a person, you would move as such. If more of our people know they were kings and queens, they would move as such. We wouldn't be in this predicament.
Man, hey,
that's hard because you know what I'm saying. I feel like men was trying to transition from calling females bitches to saying what's up, queen, and they ain't even want to hear that.
Truly, I don't want to be called a queen.
I can dig it.
I'm a goddess. I'm the one, the queen, to lead the castle to come talk to.
I can feel you. I hear you too. But what I'm saying is, I'm just saying it's like that, like we're that toxic. You know what I'm saying? It's like we can't like find a different way to approach you, or you know what I'm saying, and it be received. It just be seen as something that it's not. But that's like on a whole nother subject. But I was just saying that just because of what she had said. But I agree with Pope. But objectively speaking, like all of these stories is took from things in texts that predate a lot of modern religion. So it's like I know that I'm from Africa, like as far as like my lineage is in Africa. It starts there. You know what I'm saying?
You
But
are
I
in
also know
Africa,
that.
sir.
What you say?
You are in Africa, sir. If you check the map out, it was flipped upside down. The problem with us as a people is we don't read, and they tell you plain as day. If you want the niggas to know something, put it in a book because they will never read it. We just don't take the time to do the research to find out who we truly are, and we are our own demise. It has gotten so bad to it seems like everybody has a hidden agenda, and there's no who is it to trust for real? I'm just asking.
Mhm.
That's a good point. So
I'm huge on.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm huge on identity. I teach that to the people that I lead. I'm huge on it because it is important. When you don't know who you are susceptible to everything. I
Yes,
studied
sir.
slavery for a reason. When right before I taught a message on identity, and one of the first things that they did was remove their identity by taking their names. It was the scene in
Yes,
Roots,
sir.
whether true or not, is powerfully impactful to what they did on purpose. They changed your name because whatever you put a definition to or whatever you name, you get to control. You name if you get a pet, what do? You
You
name it.
name it.
Why? Because you're its master. It has to
That's
listen
right.
to you. Whenever inventors invent something, they give it a name. Why? Because they want to say they're the one that controls it. Whenever something can give you an identity, it also exerts control over you. And as long as we don't know who we are, individually and collectively, will always be controlled. Our problem is the identity. The reason that we don't come together, the reason all those things that we've been talking about, is because we don't know who we are, and what winds up happening is we have been trained. It's not a. I forget who said it that said that it's because we're toxic. It's not that we're toxic. It's a toxic thinking, but it's not because we're toxic. We've been trained this way, and we've never broken our training. We've been trained for so long about all of this stuff. We've never broken it. So now, even when we have people who start to break out of that training and start to come into knowledge of self and those type of things, and when you come to knowledge of self, you want everybody else to know who they are too. So when they start saying it, it becomes offensive to us because I don't know who I am, and I'm offended. You think you know who you are, and more to the point, because I've been who I've been for all this time. I've been this person. How dare you try to tell me who I am when I should know me better than anyone else? And the truth is, you don't know who you are. You legitimately only know about yourself for the most part what everyone else has told you. I used to do this little game with kids back in the day, and I stopped doing it because I started to realize I'm probably traumatizing them more than I'm helping them. I used to ask them what their name was, and they would tell me their name. I said, "How do you know that's your name?" Because my mom and dad told me. How do you know that's your mom and dad? Because I've been with them all my life, so that don't mean that's your mom and dad. How do you know that while you were at whatever hospital you were at, somebody didn't just snatch you up and put you with another parent? Because it does happen. You believe this piece of paper that gives you a name and tells you a birth date, and you believe that. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, but you believe that, but never take the time to really investigate what any of that means. But this is how we do in life as a whole. We just believe whatever has been told to us, as opposed to taking the time to really take a self investigation of it, take the time to do the research, take the time to really have some real experience with stuff to really find out who the hell am I. I'd rather that somebody else tell me who I am, so that way I'm not responsible for it, or I could be controlled or whatever. My destiny is already set out for me. No, find out who you are. Your identity is the most important thing to you, and it should be the hardest thing for anyone to take away from you. But it winds up being the easiest among black folk because we've never gotten back our identity, and we very rarely even fight for it. So I'm shut up.
No, you're on point. Go ahead, Nick Russ.
I know that's what I'm saying. I know I know my man niggas Trent got something to say.
I ain't got too much to say, man. I'm just gonna say, I think Kyrie is just on a quest for knowledge. Knowledge itself, like a lot of black people went on when they start trying to become more enlightened, and I think they crucifying him more so for that than more so than the documentary. It's 1,000 documentaries on YouTube that says it. They can strike them all down. They control those companies. They don't. So, it is what it is. But then I just think they're just on a tour of just digitally and financially lynching black people with the assistance of black people, just like any other thing that's ever happened to black people. Black people always assist and just undermine the black people. It's the weirdest thing to me. But we got a serious problem with that. And the reason why we have a serious problem with it is because there's never any consequences for it. That's why. That's why we don't have any loyalty or unity. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no rewards for unity. It's always anytime you try to unify black people, it's met with such resistance. It's shame. You know what I'm saying? But when you go against black people, it seems as though it's rewarded. But black people don't have any consequences for the people who go against them. And they don't have any rewards for the people that stick with them and remain loyal to them. So I think we can fix
them butter biscuits.
Exactly, man. It's crazy. So I think that that's a solution that we can apply on a small level and hopefully catch on. At least give people their flowers for at least trying to do good for black people. Because we know you heard for years that black people don't try to do anything for black people once they get on. And so that's all I got to say about it.
Now, I also heard today, I can't remember where it is I heard it at, but they were saying that Kyrie is way too popular to post something like this, and basically with the young black men and the young black boys who look up to him or they like him, you know what I mean? Because they also brought in his character Uncle Drew and how that character, it's a character. Like a grandmama type of deal, you know what I'm saying? And I remember as a kid, that was something that you kind of gravitated towards, you know what I mean? A character in basketball. So, that was all they were pretty much saying is, he may be awakening, a generation that, us with kids or nieces and nephews may not have been able to reach the way that he would be able to by tweeting this document, even just piquing the interest of what this may be. And they didn't want that. But I'm really also curious how much money's been made off of this documentary in the last, 4 or 5 days?
They said it was the #1 movie on Amazon. I've seen a couple.
I promise you, I'm interested in watching it now.
Off from a tweet with no context.
Anybody know
gave
this on
more platform than Kyrie did, man. So
yeah.
At this point, they really
it's just on Amazon or they got it on like Prime.
Nah, it's just on Prime. That's on. I've seen it on.
Yeah, they got it on Kindle and everything because I did a sneak peek of the book. The book, I was, whipping through the book. They'll let you do that for free to get a little bit of it and see what it's about. I read a couple of chapters. It's interesting.
Now they say there's some. I can't really remember exactly what it was, but they say there are some parts in there that would maybe have people kind of like like some real hatred type shit.
They said that in the John they said that the Holocaust was a hoax. It's that conspiracy. Like they're gonna go down like if 6 million Jews were killed and we burned in the oven, then they had to be putting this many. They break it down mathematically, so it's like it's one of those things.
Is it kind of hard to debate the way they break it down?
No.
It can't be more wild than what I heard about like Hitler and the reason why he was doing what he was doing.
Yeah, so, stuff like that.
I ain't gonna speak over it, but like if you know, it's one of them type of deals. You feel me? But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it kind of makes sense because historically, and you know what I'm saying, it's just because I'm more of a fan of history than I am of religion. I don't do like organized religion. I'm more a fan of like history of like what's going on. Like everybody want to storm Area 51 and shit. Like, why you want to go there? Storm the Vatican. Get them 80 miles of fucking 8 miles of text and shit that they stole from Africa type shit. Like those are the type of places that we should be raiding. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like everybody's history is up under there. You know what I'm saying? It's like why would you want to go like searching for aliens when if you pay attention to the sky, you will see some. I promise you. You know what I'm saying?
Fee, imagine doing what it is that you said and discovering a history that completely is on the opposite end of what it is that we know to be history.
Every
Get ready.
Isn't that the case? Isn't that the case already with some stuff in history?
That's what it's gonna be like. I told you.
That's a good point, Jesse.
No, legit. Isn't that the way that? Because for years growing up, we were told that Columbus discovered America, only to find out years later, no, we didn't. We were told for years history has always been lied about, and then we discovered it's not going to be any different. Which is why I'm like, so whether right, so that's why I'm like, so even if the documentary has the stuff in it about the Holocaust or being something different, whether it's right or not, nigga, y'all have done egregious stuff and lied about it for generations. So if this one movie has some stuff that ain't true, let's just assume for the sake of argument for a moment that the content of this documentary is a lie. It's one movie that y'all made popular because y'all pissed on Kyrie for tweeting about it. I had never heard about this movie, and I got Amazon Prime. I didn't hear about it until Kanye tweeted about this. I'm only interested in watching now because I want to see what all the fuss is about concerning this documentary. Like, so you brought more eyes to something that you thought was a lie. For what? Meanwhile, half of American history is being taught in terms of a lie, and they're redirecting a whole bunch of stuff to make it a lie. They're taking the word slave out of textbooks and calling them all indentured servants and all kinds of stuff.
Service, yeah.
Go ahead, Pope. I think that a lot of it has to do with freedom of speech, man. You know what I'm saying? I see you, Pope.
I think it's
I feel like a lot of it has to do with freedom of speech, man.
I think that one of the major reasons, to answer Jesse's question, one of the major reasons why they brought so much attention to it is because they pretty much know that we're still not going to watch it. One of the things about that documentary is it's over 4 hours long. Black people ain't going to watch that. It's right now it costs $40. You can't rent it. It's $40. Black people that's too much to pay for, but we can spend $100 at the bar every night. But $40 go to church? Hell no. But the main thing is it's not that good of a documentary. It's real grainy. It's very boring. It's not that good of a documentary. So they know that we're not really gonna fuck with it too tough. The people that's gonna fuck with it is the people that's already onto this shit, right? But this is the thing about it. I'm not new to this. Like Kanye and Kyrie making this a big issue. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I had to take a step back. I wasn't realizing that to a lot of people, this is new news. For me, as someone that follows Farrakhan, this isn't new news. So to me, I was like, big deal. But the Nation of Islam, they wrote a book, and it's called the Secret Relationship Between the Blacks and the Jews. Okay, this book obviously was labeled as an anti-Semitic book. But the interesting thing about this book was it was all bookmarked by Jewish scholars. So what they did was they took everything that Jewish scholars said and put it into a book, and it proves their involvement in the transatlantic slave trade,
right?
And their horrible relationship with us. But they still labeled it anti-Semitic, even though this wasn't from them, it was from them. So the point that I'm trying to make is we got to get to a point where we got to understand why in the world would they be so upset about this. One thing that black people do not talk about, discuss, or have conversations about is how in the world did a bunch of white people end up in one country in the Middle East and become the most wealthiest country in the Middle East? That is really some wild, bizarre shit. We all know that the Palestinians and the Israelis go to war, and that's one war that we could never get into. We know this, but we've never sat down and had an intelligent conversation about what the hell is that all about? And how is it that these white people are just right smack in the middle of the Middle East and everybody hates them, but they're the most wealthy? So again, identity theft, man, that's the oldest crime in the world. They try to say prostitution is, but identity theft is the oldest crime in the world, my man. And I'll land my plane.
I think they mad at Kyrie because Kyrie has a platform with the youth because a lot of them follow him. And the book, regardless if it's boring or not, it opens your mind. Because you can't sit there. I haven't seen the movie, but just from the aspects of reading the little paragraphs of the book, it opens your mind to ask questions about self and about the Bible contradicting itself and how it's plagiarized. And then you're going to get into the holidays and all of that. It leaves a door open for a lot of questions to be asked.
See,
So
I
it's
believe
definitely a teaching mechanism.
A lot of those questions that
Say that again.
I don't know who's going.
Go ahead, Jesse. Go ahead, Jesse.
I was saying, a lot of those, at least for me, a lot of those are questions that, in a lot of my circles anyway, have been asked since I was a kid, especially as it relates to the holidays. And if you really, I question, as a Christian, I question any Christian who has never had the thought, does the Bible contradict itself? I question any Christian who has never had the thought, is God real? I question any Christian who has never had the thought, what is this Jesus thing really about? I question. So for the circles I've been in personally, none of those are questions that haven't already been asked and continually been asked. Some people find an answer that suffices them. Some people have an experience that suffices them. Some people just go along to get along. But these aren't questions that are that should be new. These are questions that in a lot of circles that are already asked. Like, again, this book and this documentary was only brought to the public sphere in terms of the global, or at least the national consciousness, because they said something to Kyrie about it. I don't follow Kyrie on Twitter. I know nothing about him about even the tweet until ESPN ran it and ran a story about him being in trouble in hot water because he's being labeled anti-Semitic. I know nothing about it. Most people I know didn't know nothing about it because they're not following Kyrie. Kyrie isn't even a major star anymore. He's a B star, barely. They're following LeBron. They follow KD. So he has some impact. I'm not saying he don't have none. Okay. He has some, but not to a national audience. It was ESPN and Fox Sports that and the NBA that blew this up, that everybody knows. Oh, and now the conversations are starting again. But this is stuff that people been asking. They made this stuff a big deal when it could have just been, oh well, Kyrie said it. All right, bye. And from what I understand, he tweeted it and later deleted it. Y'all niggas screenshotted it and made it an issue. Like that don't make no sense to me. So like these are things that this one, that's why for me with Kyrie's a whole different animal than a Kanye or anybody else that people have talked about. Kyrie's a different animal. Kyrie is legitimately a victim of, we really seem like we hate you and we're going to do whatever we want to you just to prove a point to you. But I guarantee you, had that been LeBron, they wouldn't have did that to him. Had that been KD, they probably wouldn't have did that to him. They picked a now B star and said, okay, we're going to make an example out of him. Okay.
I think it's also that Kyrie's had some issues, with the whole vaccine thing. You know what I mean? That was an issue with him not wanting to do that. I don't even want to say the.
But it wasn't like he wasn't asking legitimate questions about the vaccine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
He
mean,
was asking the same question about
we
the
know
vaccine.
how that went.
Hey.
You know, people bucking against the vaccine.
At the end of the day, bro, it all boils down to infringing on free speech every single time. Man. Boom. The thing with COVID, right? COVID, people had questions. They don't want you to ask questions. Anybody who asks questions, which is, has to do with your rights pertaining to free speech, what they do? They try to cancel you. Kyrie trying to find himself, historically, or find his identity as a black man. You get what I'm saying? He just tweets out a picture. What they want him to do? They want to control the way he speaks. They want to control exactly what he says and when he says it. You get what I'm saying? They want you to have a financial and a moral obligation, even if it's false. You get what I'm saying? To control the way that you speak, because they know they can't silence everybody. But so what they're gonna try to do is focus on exactly what these people are saying. We need everybody to parrot exactly what our agenda is. Anybody who gets out of line and tries to use free speech to benefit themselves or progress themselves intelligently, then they become an enemy of the state. That's what it's always been. You get what I'm saying? So it's like people looking at these things, I understand, trying to gain a perspective as to why they behave in this way. But I feel as though, like, you ever read Behold the Pale Horse?
Yes.
You read that book, man. They said that the plan that they got laid out for them is they not just gonna go and just kick everybody's doors down and take their guns. They're not about to just, wake up one day and just take free speech away from you. What they're gonna do is they're gonna convince you to give it to them because you feel like you're doing the right thing. So when you look at the way that the leftist people try to change, certain realities and force people to believe certain things and force people to talk a certain way, you get what I'm saying? You see the way that they push to take away people's guns and try to frame narratives around like gun rights and things of that nature. Shows you that people, they actually can do these things. Exactly. So look, they try to do these things beforehand without really like going after free speech so aggressively, but now they're going after free speech really aggressive, and I guarantee you it's gonna horse you right back around to the same exact thing that's pushing for before. They're gonna try to take away the gun. They're gonna try to feminize the boys, masculinize the women. You know what I'm saying? Every single one of the agendas and is pushes all a part of a bigger plan. But it starts with free speech because that's the first way you can fight tyranny.
They're not trying to take our guns away when it comes to the black on black crime. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to shooting up schools and all of that, is hey, we got to get these guns.
No, they use that as an excuse too.
Do they?
Yeah.
I thought they were just looking at it as, hey, let them kill themselves off, and you know what I mean. We will bring more guns to the hood. You know, the
ones that's killing is them. They're going into schools killing their kids. You know what I'm saying? So they have to stop that because at the end of the day, it's like I made a joke about it. I was like, I'm glad Kyrie or Kanye didn't post that video of Yaku, the big head scientist, because they would really been mad at seeing them numbers. Oh God. 6 generations, man, y'all gotta come back. 6 generations, y'all gotta come back or it's over. Right. And we at like number 3 right now. That's why it's all like this. That's why all of this is like happening. It's like those types of things are like actually true when you base it on numbers and things like that, because it's just for the first time in 50 years, the white population has been on a decline. I think it's like down. I think it's like down like 15% or something.
And that's another reason why. That's another reason why they were going to make abortions illegal.
Yeah, because I can't remember. I just seen it. This the one lady, Jane Elliott, she was talking about it.
Margaret Sanger.
What are you talking about? It was in that video about the Planned Parenthood.
Talking about the lady, the older white lady with the glasses.
Yeah, and
that's Jane Elliott.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh man, what I just see? I was just watching. I cannot remember. She said something, and I was like, man, I should touch on that. But
I know. I thought you
But
was talking
like I
about
was
like how that
saying,
she
the reason
all her
why
things
I
is
felt like
KKK.
my bad. But yeah, the reason why I felt like when they sent like that, what was it, like 800 million to Ukraine,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that.
More than that.
Cause like I feel like all of this money that they were giving to Ukraine, and like as soon as they gave it to Ukraine, Russia declared victory in Ukraine. It was like they took their money type, and it was like this is how they're funneling money. Like this is how they're giving money to other countries without directly giving it to other countries, because they need a fail safe when they need somewhere to retreat to, because no matter how they like it, the world is getting darker. You know what I'm saying? Like it the fact that their population is down is uh proof of that. And Jane Elliott was saying, I can't remember who the dude was, but he was talking. He was like on the debate floor or something like that, and he was saying like we need more white babies. So the way that we do that is to take away the abortion rights, so we can achieve that type shit. And I was like, that's crazy as hell, because it started putting things in perspective. Like they projected by 2035, like
What
or 2050, like the kid, like everybody's gonna look like the same complexion of my kids, my oldest three, like light skin complexion, like more so going into the darker shade of the spectrum. So it's like the white flight and white replacement shit that Tucker Carlson was talking about last year all over the news. Like they really believe that shit, so they're gonna act accordingly. They're gonna do everything they can to put into place things so they can preserve themselves. All the while trying to keep us from still knowing who we are as a people, which is why, like we said numerous times, that they're doing it to Kyrie, because once they put us in the room with them in as far as like a people, that's when it became a problem, because like they said, it wasn't a problem when it was like white lives matter or when slavery was a choice. It didn't matter. But let how dare you compare yourself to us and what we gone through? But we've gone through what it said in your Bible and shit like that. So it's like a lot of it don't make sense, and a lot of it is starting to make sense to me. And it's just, oh no, it's a wild occurrence, a wild time that we're living in right now.
Yo, you said go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Pope.
Oh, okay, cool. No, but everything my brother was just saying like really goes back to my original statement when I said the KKK tells some truth, which is, you know what I mean, like we gotta preserve our race. And guess what? I'm not mad at them for that. Like, why should anybody be mad at them for preserving their race? I want to preserve my race. They should want to preserve their race. I really don't see an issue with that one right there. But I got to get ready to go because 10 o'clock is pushing on me. All I want to say is I support Kyrie Irving in a different way that I support Kanye. I know I was hard on my brother Kanye West, but with Kyrie, I got his back 1,000%. And one of the reasons I got his back 1,000% is I pay attention to little tiny things. And Kyrie Irving is humble. He's humble, and he is willing to die for a cause. Not die literally, but we just got done talking about, are you a slave willingly? And I said, hey, why don't we go die for something? Kyrie Irving, at least right now in this moment, is willing to die. He's willing to give up his riches and his fame for this cause. To me, that is so admirable, man. And I look at it like, I got to back that one. When I look at Kanye, though, I think that he's dying for the cause because he's not getting the riches and the fame that he actually wants, even though he's a billionaire. In Kanye West's mind, more than that. Now, the bottom line, though, is this. They're both our brothers. I'm never going to get online. I'm never going to get on my social media and trash them. That's the reason I came on today, so I could talk about it amongst us. But I'm not going to get online and just trash the brother because he's still our brother. But the fact of the matter is he aligned himself with Candace Owens. He keeps cooning. He keeps doing things that looks like he's against us. I mean, if you do something that makes you look like you're against me, I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm not gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. You're against me. It's just the way it goes. So yeah, I fuck with Kyrie, Kanye. Man, I don't know about that, man. But it was a good discussion, man. Everybody made great points, man. My brother Negus, I know we went at it and everything, man. But bro, you got through to me. Trust me, you got through to me, and I think I got your point. And your overall point is, let's stick together. Let's be on code. The brother had some great points. He exposed some truths about our enemy. I get it, bro. I get it. Yeah.
So before we go ahead and get up out of here, I want to know from you guys: do you feel like Kyrie sticks to his guns, or does he complete the list of the 6
I hope
things
so.
that to get him back into the league, or does he retire? Is he finished?
I hope he sticks to his guns. I hope he sticks to his guns, not regardless as to whether or not one agrees with him or not. I hope he sticks to his guns because it sends a message that needs to be sent. That at this time, we will not just allow you to make us say or do whatever the hell you want to make us say or do. We're going to take a stand. And if Kyrie can take that stand with his riches, then a whole lot of us should be able to start taking some stands on some stuff. So I really hope he sticks to his guns. I hope he tells the NBA to go screw themselves and doesn't do nothing that they tell him to do. I really do. I hope that's the case. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I really hope that's the case.
My opinion,
I don't think
just like everybody else's. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like everybody else. Outside of the fact that I still agree with Kanye. You know, I'm not against him and what he because I understand and I empathize just on a couple fronts that just from his explanation in that Drake Champs interview. Kyrie, oh, my phone died.
Well, I guess we lost Fee for tonight.
Yeah.
But my man, Mr.
No,
Train,
I don't think he's
how
gonna
you
do
feel?
it. Yeah, I don't think Kyrie's going to adhere to the what do you call it? The
You don't
things
think
they
he
want
gonna
him to
fold?
do. No, I don't think he is because you can see the change in the like ESPN and the athletes and stuff like that. Now more people are starting to speak up for him. You get what I'm saying? And now people are starting to change their tune. You get what I'm talking about? Now it's starting to get more. You go read the comment sections to any of these segments that they doing on ESPN, Shade Room, anywhere. ESPN and the commissioners of Brooklyn and all the rest of that, they getting cooked. They getting smoked in the comments. They have no support. So that's why you see so many of these ESPN people backpedaling that. Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith. You get what I'm talking about? I can't remember the black woman name. She was one of the first people to say something like, I don't like the way they're doing it. You know. But you got Nick Cannon speaking up. You got a lot of people speaking up now, man. You get what I'm saying? So I think that he's going to get a lot more support, and then they're going to have to,
Yeah, because I don't know if you said it or maybe I missed it. They're talking about the players union. They're feeling like this is a bit much for him to have to do. You know what I mean, for him to play again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Miss Tweety, you still there?
I'm still here.
You got any last words for us?
I know. I hope he sticks to his guns.
Mhm.
I think his manhood is tested. I
Facts.
think he's gonna stick to his guns.
Now, my
I don't
last
think they're gonna
question.
win this one.
My last question before we get out of here for good is: if he does not stick to his guns, how do y'all feel?
I
I
would
still
be a
feel,
bit
I still feel
disappointed.
good about it.
I'd be a bit disappointed that he didn't, but I don't know the consequences he's facing.
Okay. So everybody still supports him regardless of what he does.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I would.
so you remember how passionate I was about not saying slavery was a choice?
Mhm.
I feel the same exact way about Kyrie, man. I'm not in that position, man. I'm not a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another thing about being a millionaire athlete. People are dependent on you, man. He has a payroll. He got employees. He got people that are
Mm-hmm.
actually dependent on him making that money, man. So I would be disappointed, but I'm not in a position to judge him like that. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I know that the brother really put up the fight. He put up the fight for the vaccine. I know what he's about. I know what he's about. Now, there's some people they do some sucker shit, and it's like, nah, you just a fucking sucker because you never did nothing solid. But Kyrie Irving, he's done some solid ass shit. He has stood on his pivot for a long time. So
Mhm.
I don't know, man.
Like giving
I
that
don't want to say
1.5
like
million
I
to
that.
the
wouldn't even be. I won't
WNBA.
even be disappointed.
But you got
I
to
mean,
I
understand
won't even be
who
disappointed by
he's
it.
up against. I would be disappointed only to the fact that they'll use his family against it. His money affects more than just himself. Just like you said, he
mhm.
has people up under him and everything. Will it cost them their livelihoods? And they're not as wealthy as he is.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's a lot to come into play, so we don't know. We don't know what choices he has to choose from.
it's got to be a lot of pressure on the young man. You know what I
I,
mean?
So
Again,
he
I
got a
wouldn't be
choice though.
disappointed. I wouldn't be
he does
disappointed
have a
because
choice.
historically he has a choice, but
All
historically,
choices. He
if
got
he caves, if he caves, it's what has always already been done. So I wouldn't be disappointed in that. I would
not
just hope
always.
that the next time
Muhammad Ali
around,
ain't.
somebody who doesn't feel they have a whole lot to lose can then stand 10 toes down. Like yeah, because we don't know what all he's facing. We don't know all who is depending on him. I get, and that's exactly what they're counting on. They're counting on, you got people dependent on you. You're the cash cow, and if you can't cash in, not just you are
Right,
out, but other families are out. They're counting on
right.
that. So if he takes that into consideration, I wouldn't be disappointed. I would just be like, okay, well, who's up next? Who we have up next that will stand and be like, okay, it's whatever I have to lose, I have to lose, and that's an individual choice. You know what I mean? We make those individual choices in our own small way every day ourselves. What do I have to lose? What's worth fighting for? What's not? So I can't begrudge that man if he feels like, you know what, I fought long enough. It's time to give up. It's time to just go ahead and do what they asking me to do, collect this check, make this money back, and get people back on track, my career back on track or whatever. Can't fault him for that.
Now I understand.
It's
I'm
not
sorry.
like he's betraying us by saying, oh, well, you know what? But you're fine. So go ahead.
Now I understand, niggas, because now he's
Go
in a
ahead, Miss Sweetie. You're fine.
position.
Go ahead.
He's of being a slave or being free. Now I understand that to the aspect of now, because it's a
Yeah,
choice now.
yeah.
Am I going to be a slave to these people and stay up under their contracts, or am I going to be free and be a man with what I have?
Mhm.
Hey, Tweety, I'm so happy
That's
that you
exactly
said
the
But
that.
are we then
context
saying
in
he's not a
which
man if
I
he
ain't
doesn't
mistaking
stand?
it.
'Cause it's
You
funny
feel me?
how we can say slavery was a choice, but we can't connect the dots. Today, in today's world, this ain't a life and death situation.
we
But we
hope.
No,
all
it's not.
but we
We
all
hope.
understand. We
That's
all
even more of a
understand.
point though.
But we all understand if he chooses
Man,
to go
hey,
back.
let me tell you
See,
something, man. As a grown man, if somebody
great
is
point,
raping your
Tweety.
children, raping your wife, and you are an able-bodied man, and you choose to sit there and just wallow in the sadness of it, rather than be willing to sacrifice. I have a quote, bro, but that I live by. You're not a man unless you know what you're willing to kill for or what you're willing to die for. Once you know what those things are, then you are a man. But until then, you don't. You get what I'm saying? See, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, MLK, Medgar Evers, they knew they was gonna die. That's why they get the respect that they got. Harriet Tubman, if they didn't have a choice, there would be no Harriet Tubman. You get what I'm saying? They had a choice. Everybody had a choice. I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm not trying to undermine the plight that all people went through. I know that was hard. I know that was crazy. You get what I'm saying? But
that becomes a difference. In the context of saying that you recognize it was hard, that becomes a difference, because that's something that didn't come across that Kanye was saying. But even the same context. So here's the thing. So yes, as a man, you have to be willing. You have to know what you're willing to die for, what you're willing to kill for. Yes. Same time, when you have people who are counting on you, you die. Who's gonna look out for them now? You die. You get pulled off the scene. Who's protecting them now? The mentality may have been, I have a better shot of protecting them to some degree, better alive and conforming, than I do dead and I can't do anything about it. And I'm not saying either choice is right or wrong. I'm just saying I understand the mentality of both, where one says, I'll kill you over it, while the other one says, if I die, who's going to protect my family now? Who's going to protect the people I care about now? That's why for Kyrie, whether he sticks to his guns or not, I have no beef with, because if his money is gone, and if he can't provide for his family, he can't provide for the people who are on his payroll, who gonna do it? So it's balancing. It's not just balancing what you're willing to die for and what you're willing to kill for. It's also balancing what becomes the greater damage. Is it a greater damage for me to die for this cause, or is it a greater damage for me to stand for this cause? Which is going to cause the greater damage for me to do?
Die in order to live. When you put in certain predicaments, you gotta be willing to die in order to live. You gotta be willing to kill.
But that's all. But that's all person's perspective.
You know what I'm saying?
The willing to die or live is a person's perspective. We're taking a perspective that's from our experience and that's from our mentality, our backgrounds. We're not that man. We don't know his background, his experiences, and what he's dealing with. So for any one of us to say that this isn't something that he should that's not rationalized emotionally. That's rationalizing perspective. That's doing logical perspective. I don't have that man's pressure. I don't have that man's perspective. I don't have his background, his education, his experience. I don't have none of that. So I have no right or authority to say to him, yo, you need to do one thing or the other. All I can say is, brother, I'm gonna try to support you the best way I can.
It's because niggas was thinking like that.
Say again.
You think we have more net terms?
Listen, I don't know what that's. But my entire point is, I don't know what they were thinking. No, my entire point is I don't know what they were thinking. But I can't judge them for whatever decisions they made, because I wasn't there.
We just point out
I don't know what they faced. All I know is what history has taught about slavery. All I know is what movies have said about slavery. All I know is about the research that I've done about slavery, but it doesn't compare to actually being there. So I can't judge them one way or the other for a choice that they felt that they made for the benefit of whatever they was trying to do.
Wasn't the reason why we got up out of there. It wasn't until them white people started dying and them people start standing up, fighting with the Gullah Wars. You get what I'm saying? Burning down them plantations and escaping to the north. And, you know what I'm saying? Siding with the people that's politically against them. Those are the people that took risks, that was willing to die. Is the reason why you get to have the opportunity to say what you say now.
Yes, it absolutely is. But at the same time, I appreciate them. At the same time, I appreciate those people who took the risks, who died for, who fought for. The same time I appreciate them, I refuse to degrade and to minimize the
Nobody's
people who
degrading
didn't,
them.
because they were making a choice too. Because here's what they did: everybody in that time frame, just as we do now, we make the best decision we feel like we have for ourselves and the people connected to us. Them Negroes who were in slavery, who ran, who fought, and who do all those things, they weren't necessarily doing it for everybody, all throughout, for all black folks, all throughout history. They were doing the best decision that they had for them and the people connected to them, and for what they felt passionate about, like we do today. I can't be upset at someone's decision that doesn't cause harm for what they feel is best. If Kyrie does it, as he sticks to his guns, or he doesn't, this man is doing whatever he feels is best for his family and his situation. I can't begrudge him of that. If he don't want to die on this hill, brother, you ain't got to die on this hill. Do what's best for your family, because a live Kyrie making money may be able to have a greater impact doing some other things than ever standing on this hill. But if he stands on this hill and allows them to take all his money, then congratulations, brother. I support you too, because maybe you felt like dying on this hill will spark some other people to cause a movement too. We do way too much of this superficial judging of people's motives and thought processes in situations there's no way we can understand.
What you say?
Go ahead, Poke. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. And after Poke, man, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Go ahead, Poke.
Yeah, real quick. But when you try to make sense out of Kanye's words, and I'm just saying Kanye's words, when you try to justify it, you sound a little more silly yourself. And the reason I say that is, if you feel that way, if only you're not a man until you find something you'll die for or something you'll kill for. If you feel that way, then why the hell we ain't dying and why we ain't killing? I mean, George Zimmerman that killed a 15-year-old kid. Ain't nobody killed him. He's still living out there. All 5 of us are out here. We ain't dying and we ain't killing nothing. So I don't understand how we can say these silly ass things. We're living under oppression as we live. We're an oppressed people as we is. We just sat here, spent about 3 hours talking about our oppression. We ain't died and we ain't killing nothing. So let's just stop it with that, man. You know what I mean? Like, let's put it out, man. It's foolishness, man. We ain't killing nothing.
You don't know who killed. You don't know who killing, and you know what I'm saying? You don't know who living out here. You don't know nothing. It's my first time talking to you. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, you don't know my background. You know what I'm talking about? So don't even go down that road.
I'm talking about George Zimmerman.
What you trying to do now? You trying to like pull cars, like it ain't. And I'm not really feeling that. You're gonna get a different side.
No, he ain't pulling cards. He's talking as a whole.
I ain't talking to you, bro. I'm talking to Poke. You get what I'm saying? Second of all, what I said is the truth. It doesn't matter what somebody did or what you think somebody would do. If somebody's in a predicament to every day going through hell, they raping your kids, they raping your wife, they making you eat slop. How is that not something to die for? Like, this is crazy, man. It don't matter whether you ain't never lived in that predicament or not. That should not even matter, dog. We should be able to come together as now that we out of the situation, be able to sit down and say, you know what? The best strategy will be everybody as a group fight back. White people don't even cross their mind. They already know this. They going straight to war. Niggas gonna sit around and say, you know what? Maybe it's not the best for my family. Nigga, you ain't gonna kill nothing. Like, what are you talking about, bro?
Why we ain't
Niggas, it's different because once you control the mind, you control the body. Back then, they controlled the mind.
Facts. That's what bucking and breaking was all about. That's what stripping of the identity was all about.
Now
they took fighters and made them passive.
Yes, it was a choice. Because they set them free, and most slaves didn't want to leave. That was a choice.
That's what Harris said. She said, hey, a lot more people would have been free if only they'd have known they were slaves. Or is it ringing?
Right. You control the mind, the body gonna follow.
Ringing loud over here.
Well, y'all, I greatly appreciate everybody for joining us today. This is a good show. My man, Mr. Trent, you got to come back, man. You definitely got to come back. I know you called into a show, that I did earlier in the year, you know what I mean? And that was cool. Miss Tweety, this was a pleasure. This was
It was a
definitely a pleasure,
pleasure,
my queen.
y'all.
I'm glad you joined us. You know what I mean? Because actually, this is from a post that you had made last week about, this is something that we need to talk about. So I was like, let me go ahead. And again, I wanted to wait. I didn't want to jump on it right away. I wanted to wait till some things played out. But, you were kind of the inspiration behind me getting this group together, to have this discussion. Poke, it's always a good time. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure I will be talking to you within the next few days. You know what I mean? Jesse, before I get out of here real quick, man, you know how we do. I just want to, go over again.
Yes, sir.
Jesse, you have your own podcast, the Real Talk podcast. If you want to let, my listeners, where they can find you, where they can catch your podcast at. If you want to do any social media, you can do that as well.
For sure. So the Real Talk podcast, we do it bi-monthly, so twice a month. You can catch us on Anchor, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Amazon, and a bunch of other smaller podcast platforms most folk ain't never heard of. But we on the big ones. I'm trying to get us on iHeart too. We also have a YouTube channel now, and you can go to youtube.com/@RealTalkHPM. I'm trying to get some things together. We're actually getting ready to just talk with my co-hosts. My co-hosts are typically Pastor Jay Jordan and Pastor JC Wallace. We're getting ready to make some changes on how we're doing some formatting come the beginning of the year. We're expanding our topics, not just deal with church stuff, because church stuff is getting on my nerves. I want to start dealing with some stuff that affects the culture as a whole, not just church stuff. So we're gonna deal with some financing and all kinds of the people in general just need to know. So we expand our platform. We trying to get real in here, and then we're gonna start doing some interviews as well. So Marcus, you and I've been talking. I got to get you on there, especially you and JC.
Hey,
you and
man.
I would love to hear you and JC go back and forth, bro.
The interviews is where it be at, man. Me, when I do them interviews,
Yes, sir.
that's what I really like to do. I really enjoy doing the interviews, man. That's good shit. But Pope, again, I know you said you're about to have some more content. Everybody hates Pope. I know you had a YouTube channel, and I know before you told me you had some technical difficulties with some things, so it kind of had to slow down a little bit. But it's good to hear that you're about to pick it back up, man, because again, like I said earlier, you were the first show that I was invited on as far as, podcasting is concerned, and it just kind of got me going a little bit as well. So there's a lot of people, when I'm doing podcasting, I had an influence on what it is that I'm doing and what it is that I'm trying to do. Pope, you know what I'm saying? I throw you in that category, the people who, had an influence on what it is that I'm trying to do as well. So again, y'all, I want to appreciate y'all for being on. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a little disappointed my co-host couldn't be here. I know she had some things going on, so she couldn't make it. Shout out to Candoria Lierdo. Hopefully we can get her back on the next show. But again, y'all, I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate it. Don't forget to smile, y'all. It's a good look.
Y'all hit me on Facebook. I dialogue a lot. I'm confrontational.
She does for sure.
We'll do.
Yeah. And if y'all don't know her name, your name on
Facebook is Yvonne Jackson Bay.
And if everybody on here follows me for the most part, so I'm sure you may see her interacting with some of my stuff. So if y'all want to go to my friends list and look her up, go ahead and send her a request. She has very interesting content as well. But again, y'all, appreciate it again. Don't forget to smile. It's a good look.
That's that.